Appeals public hearing this Wednesday, June 27, 2018. We opened at 7 o'clock here in the Griffin Meeting Room, Harwich Town Hall. We will be hearing the cases that were on our agenda. Members of the public interested in the applications will be invited to speak at the appropriate time. I need to tell everybody we are being videotaped, and tomorrow, the next day, the tape will be posted on the YouTube site of Channel 18. I'll ask the board to introduce themselves, please.
Jim Hilliard.
Kathy Muller.
Dean Hedersted.
Dave Ryer.
Al Donahue.
Mike Capoli.
Egan Mayhew.
And Sheila Delaney, Secretary.
I'll ask our clerk to read the first case, please.
Case number 2018-11. Gerard Riker and Claire Riker, through their agent attorney Andrew Singer, have applied for a special permit to construct a second floor above a garage and guest suite of a pre-existing non-conforming single-family dwelling. The application is pursuant to the Code of the Town of Harwich, Section 325-54 and Table 2. Area regulations are set forth in Mass General Laws, Chapter 48, Section 6. The property is located at 35 Strand Way, Map 1, Parcel J1, 32-0, in the RH1 zoning district. And we do have, Mr. Chairman, correspondence. There are two pieces of correspondence, one from the Zoning Board of Appeal from the Conservation Commission. 2018-11, the case received conservation approval. And the second is to the Zoning Board of Appeal from the Health Director. The Board of Health approved the plan to construct the second floor above the garage with guest suite on May 14th, 2018 with the following conditions. The dwelling is restricted to a maximum of 6 bedrooms. No increase in habitable space or square footage without further review of the Board of Health. The floor plan shall remain as depicted on the plans drawn by McPhee Associates dated April 10th, 2018 on file with the Health Department. Approval shall be recorded at Barnstable County Land Court. Should you require any further information, please do not hesitate to contact me.
Okay, Attorney Singer, before we start, we'll have Mr. Hilliard, Ms. Muller, Mr. Hedersted, Mr. Donahue, and Mr. Capoli as the voting members. I will not vote, nor will Ms. Meehan in this case. If you could introduce yourself for the record, please.
Yes, good evening. For the record, my name is Andrew Singer, an attorney in Dennisport here on behalf of the owners. Jerry Richer, one of the owners, and Rob McPhee, the project builder, are in the last row all the way back, so they are in the audience with us. I had submitted a summary of reasoning to you, excuse me, which we'll discuss what I'm going to present to you. As you noted, Mr. Hilliard, in the notice, this is a request to construct a second floor over the existing garage that is at the front of the dwelling. The property is pre-existing non-conforming as to lot frontage and lot area. The dwelling, which was previously 2 detached pre-existing non-conforming structures, were combined in 2000 by Board of Appeals vote, and the front portion, which is the garage guest suite, it's 1 story with an attic right now, and there's a kind of a cathedral ceiling in part of it, but it is not a full 2-story structure. We are seeking a special permit under Section 325-54 and 48 Section 6. This is in accordance with the bylaw as well as with the Building Commissioner's referral letter to you for this proposal. And the legal standard you're looking at is whether or not the alterations that are being proposed will be substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood than the existing nonconformities that are there. On behalf of the applicants, we respectfully submit that the proposal will not be substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood. Single-family use is a permitted use in this district, and that is not going to change. There will be no change in the footprint of the structure, and you heard this in the Conservation Commission approval. This is just going straight up on the existing footprint. The front setback, which is the only thing that is non-conforming, at 10.3 feet will remain the same. Building height is going to remain conforming. The house itself is at 29.2 feet. The second floor that we're requesting will be 24 feet, so it'll be less high than the house, but also conforming to the zoning bylaw. Building coverage on the site is and will remain conforming at 19.9%. Site coverage is and will remain conforming at 31.4%. Neither of those are obviously changing since the footprint's not being affected. We submit that the proposal be in keeping with and be compatible with the character of the neighborhood. The applicants have spoken to several of their neighbors and have received written and verbal support from two of them at 28 and 40 Strand Way, one across the street. There is going to be no change in the number of bedrooms on the property. The Board of Health limit that you heard is what's there today, so they were just noting that it's going to remain the same. There'll be no change in density and no impact on traffic. Submit there'll be no negative impact on water supply or drainage, and that was also reviewed with the Conservation Commission since, as you can see on the plan we gave you, a portion of that part of the structure is within 100 feet to the top of the coastal bank. Submit that the proposal will not cause or contribute to any undue nuisance, hazard, or congestion, and that it will not adversely affect the public health, safety, convenience, or general welfare of the town. For those reasons, we respectfully request that you find that the proposal will not be substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood than existing conditions, and grant a special permit to allow the work to be done as shown on the plans that you have. If you have any questions for me or the owner or builder, we'd be happy to answer them. Thank you.
What is the proposed building height again?
The proposed building height on the garage portion will be 24 feet.
Okay, because your plan shows 29.2.
29.2 is the main, that is the main portion of the house.
Okay.
And that's why on the table it says 29.2, because the table showed the maximum, but the garage itself will be at the lower height.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Hilliard?
I have no questions.
Ms. Muller?
Yeah, a clarification. I think we were told that Conservation and Health talked about a 6-bedroom house.
Yes.
You talked about a 5-bedroom house. So we're looking at an existing floor plan that already has 5 bedrooms. What's happening here on the second floor?
Well, all right, I believe it's still 6. What it is, what happened from a Board of Health point of view is the first floor, excuse me, apologize. The first floor of that guest suite is considered a bedroom now.
Mm-hmm.
And what they're doing, they're putting the bedroom on the second floor. The first floor is becoming the living area.
Sitting room.
And
Okay.
because it's a pass-through room, it's not considered another bedroom. So that bedroom, which is the 6th bedroom, is moving up. And the first floor will be the living area of that unit.
Okay, and there will be no kitchen facilities.
There will be no kitchen facilities.
Okay, thank you.
Just had to confirm that.
Mr. Hedersted?
Would you please review for me again what was said about the number of bedrooms in this home? Our clerk had the memo.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's quite all right.
Sure. Board of Health. Specifically for the bedrooms, no increase in habitable space. The dwelling is restricted to a maximum of 6 bedrooms.
6 bedrooms?
Yes.
Okay. Which
And there are
means
6 now.
it's 5 bedrooms plus the office / guest bedroom? Is that what I assume?
That's considered a bedroom now because it's on the first floor it has privacy, because it's not a pass-through room. So the 5 bedrooms in the main house and then attached to the garage, the connected garage, that guest suite is considered a 6th bedroom.
Okay. And I assume the comments that we got did reference the correct date, which is 4/10/18 on the plan? Sir,
Yes.
is that what they said?
The,
Check the decision. Yes.
May 14th, 2018.
That's good. Okay, thank you for that clarification. I have no comments.
Mr. Hedersted, just so you know, the site plan is the one that's dated April 10th.
Excuse me?
The site plan is dated April 10th, 2018.
Yeah, but
And-
so isn't the,
Correct, so are the floor plans, correct.
the floor plan is what I was considering. Okay, thank you.
Okay, I'm not gonna be voting on the case, but it seems to me it meets the requirements of 325-54A2 and the Gale case for supporting the granting of a special permit by the board. I believe the proposed addition will not be substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood than the existing structure. But I would like whoever's gonna make the motion in the case, that we have a condition that the Board of Health comments be met. Mr. Donahue?
I have no questions. The only question I'm gonna have is with regard to the actual construction of this project. Meaning, during what period of time? Because that's a very narrow street there.
I explained this to Mr. Richer right before we started. I said that the Board of Appeals, as of late, has been imposing conditions on construction. I will not call it what I had called it before, because the attorney behind me would not be happy. I heard him chuckle on that. I assumed that you would be imposing those construction, no exterior construction and no major landscaping in, I think it was June 15th to Labor Day you've been doing? Approximately.
June 30th to
June
Labor Day.
30th to Labor Day, so
This year and next.
I expected that that's what you would be doing as well.
Yeah, because it is pretty narrow down there.
It is.
Mr. Capoli.
No comments?
Nothing for me?
Does anyone in the public, is there anyone in the public that would like to comment on this case? No, hearing none, I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
So move.
Second. All right, the public hearing is closed. Any further discussion by the board? All right, I'll entertain a motion in the case.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, the board hereby approves a special permit regarding case 2018-11 to construct a second floor above a garage and a guest suite of a pre-existing non-conforming single-family dwelling. The application was in pursuant to the Code of Town of Harwich, Section 325-54, Table 2, area regulations set forth in MGL Chapter 48, Section 6. The property is located at 35 Strand Way, map 1 partial J1-32-0 in the RH1 zoning district. The application and the special permit is granted, and the board finds that this particular case, there is no new conformity, and that there will be no resulting substantial detriment to the neighborhood. However, due to the property's location, there will be no major existing construction during the period 30 July through 1 September 2018/2019.
Wait, 30 June,
Excuse me?
30 June.
Well, 6/30, okay, 6/30 through 1 September 2018/2019, nor will there be any significant landscaping during the same periods. In addition to that, there is a condition that the comments we received from, who again, please?
Conservation and.
Conservation
Board of Health.
and the Board of Health are incorporated into this decision. This decision is also based upon the information provided by the applicant and identified in, if I can repeat all of this, I will be glad to do so. The site plan prepared by Philip Skulmiti, and it's dated April 10th, 2018, and the Richer resident drawing dated, shows the existing house rather, dated 4/10/2018, and the drawings, plans A1, A2, 3, 4, 5, and 5, all dated 4/10/2018.
Can I have a second, please?
Mr. Chairman, I think Mr. Hederstet said September 1 for and Labor Day is the date we normally use because that can move.
I thought it was through 1 September 2018, 2019.
Don't we usually say
We
Labor
usually say
Day
Labor Day, but
to prevent
that's-
anybody from getting a jump and tying up the street over the Labor Day weekend?
Mr. Hutter's
Through Labor Day, then, that's fine,
Thank you, Dean.
Okay, thank you.
as amended.
As amended. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Special permit granted.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Mr. Singer.
Appreciate it.
Should we give you back some plans?
If you're gonna get rid of them, I'll take them back.
He's on the stamp.
There you go.
He's getting ramped up.
There's too much hunger in our society right now.
Wait a minute, Sheila.
You kidding me? You gonna keep that?
I'll get rid of it. All right, Mr. Hilliard, would you call
Okay.
our next case, please?
Case number 2018-12. Bruno Visco, trustee, and others, and Sandy Conroy, trustee, through their agent, Thomas A. Moore, have applied for a special permit to construct a two-story addition onto a pre-existing, non-conforming, single-family dwelling. The application is pursuant to the code of the town of Harwich, section 325-54, Table 2, area regulations as set forth in Mass General Laws, Chapter 48, Section 6. The property is located at 34 Braddock Street, map 14, parcel V18-0, in the RH-zoning district. And we have correspondence. The first piece of correspondence is from the Health Director. I've reviewed the application for special permit from the Zoning Board of Appeal for the project at 34 Braddock Street. The proposed plans show a total of 4 bedrooms, 3 on the second floor, 1 bunk room on the first. The existing septic system is designed for a maximum of 3 bedrooms. A fully compliant septic system will be required to be designed prior to the approval of a building permit. No variances from Title V or the local regulations will be granted for an increase in design flow from 3 bedrooms to 4. Should a septic system designed for 4 bedrooms not comply, the dwelling floor plans will need to be revised to comply with a maximum of 3 bedrooms. Should you require any further information, please do not hesitate to contact me. Megan Eldridge, Health Director. Next, from that, Mr. Chairman, we have two rather lengthy letters from multiple parties. The first is from Paul McCourt, Brian McCourt, and Peter McCourt. The second, and also, I'm sorry, I take that back, and also John Giusti and Lisa Giusti. Bruce Gledhill, Jan Gledhill, these are all signers of the first, Al Walker and Heather Walker. And the content of the letter is basically they're opposed to the project. And if you wish me to read these letters, I will. I prefer.
No, I told them.
Okay, they will go into evidence as part of the case. The second letter is from Matthew Kelly, attorney at law. Mr. Kelly represents, I don't see his, yes I do. Paul, Peter, and Brian McCourt. And his letter is in opposition as well on behalf of his clients, and that'll be placed into evidence.
Perhaps you could tell us, just summarize the basis of the opposition.
Sure. Raising the existing structure nearly 10 feet in height would virtually eliminate any backyard privacy of several of the homes on Braddock Street, especially in light of how far inside the setback of the home already is. Three homes in particular, 30, 32, and 36 Braddock, will have their backyard areas impacted negatively should the ZBA approve the project. The owners of these specific properties will no longer enjoy private use of their backyard, living spaces, and outdoor showers, as the proposed second floor would tower over their backyards and view directly down on these private spaces. They've also commented about the parking as well. And on the second letter by attorney Kelly, he says the backyard of the McCord property currently has an outdoor shower. The McCord is an abutter. Outdoor tables, deck, and grill, allowing the structure at 34 Braddock to be raised even higher would essentially eliminate all privacy the McCord family enjoys in their backyard. From the proposed second floor window at 34 Braddock, a person could look into the shower, look into the windows, have a bird's eye view over the deck. Stands to reason that allowing this sort of expansion would raise the property value of 34 Braddock, conversely diminish the value of the McCord property. It then makes again reference to a parking, alleged parking situation at 34 Braddock, which is already a major point of concern for the McCord family.
Thank you, Mr. Hilliard. We'll have voting on this case, Mr. Hilliard, Ms. Muller, Mr. Hedersted, Mr. Donahue, and Ms. Meehan.
Mayhew?
Megan, I'm sorry, Mayhew, Megan, first name, Mayhew. Mr. Napoli and I will not be voting on this case. So if you could introduce yourselves at the table, please.
Good evening, Thomas Moore Design Company, representing the Viscos, Bruno Visco here to my right. And as a kind of a, we got those letters, I got those letters a couple days ago from Shayla. And as a result of that, I actually have done a few revisions to the plans that some of the revisions address some of the privacy issues relative to the letters. So if I could swap out the plans that you have. Effectively,
Sure.
what it is, it's kind of rearranging some of the space on the second floor to help with some of the issues possibly. I'm not sure if they'll completely go away, but
Okay.
it's an attempt, I think, on our part to try to appease the neighbors somewhat. So I've got plenty of copies, so I can share a copy with them also.
Are we replacing all of the
Yeah, I'm replacing all of them in their entirety, just so that.
A1 through A3, as well as EX1 and EX2?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah, just so you just,
So it's right.
just a straight swap out.
Get rid of.
Have you discussed the changes with the
I don't.
abutters?
Not, I haven't had time to do that, so no, I haven't.
So this is a plan they haven't seen?
That's correct. That's right.
Thanks.
Has this been,
It's hot off the press today.
Charlotte, was this filed through the office? Or not? This is the
No,
first
this is
presentation?
tonight, he's bringing us in.
Okay.
I'm gonna keep this.
That's fine. As mentioned, we are requesting a special permit to add on to the single-family dwelling at 34 Braddock Street. The property is a lawfully pre-existing non-conforming single-family dwelling. Yeah, it is non-conforming with respect to, one, the lot size. The lots in that area it's required to be 40,000 square feet. This is a 10,000 square foot lot. And the lot frontage, yes, 150 feet is required, where this is kind of an unusually shaped lot, and the lot frontage here is only 10 feet. The required setback from the street is 25 feet. The the current existing setback right now is 9.3 feet. The required rear setback is 20 feet. The current existing rear setback is 6.2 feet. The other nonconformity is that the maximum site coverage is 35% in this area, and the existing site coverage, including buildings and walkways and driveways and patio, is 48.1%. As far as the project, the lot size, lot frontage, front setback, rear setback will not change, because we're looking to add a second floor onto this house. And because of enclosing, there's a little area on the front of the building that we're gonna enclose for an entry to on the front of the house. There'll be a slight increase in the building coverage from 23% to 24%. Which this is still under the maximum building coverage in this area is 30% in an RH1 district. The site coverage itself will be reduced from 48.1% to 44.6%, and that's by removing some of the concrete patios on the back of the building and a brick walkway that need to be, we're gonna do a nicer walkway to the new front door. The proposed project is moving the existing three bedrooms to a second floor over a portion of the existing house. The first floor of the building is proposed to be opened up for a more family-oriented space. There will be no increase in the number of bedrooms. The house is a 3-bedroom and will remain as such. I did review this updated plan with Megan Eldridge earlier today, and she gave me a verbal okay as far as this proposed layout that we have here at the moment. I believe there was one room that was designated or was initially called as a bunk room. Was originally permitted as a recreation type of a room, and that's what it will be. And the one piece of that Megan had talked about was providing a 6-foot wide opening into that space, so it's open to the sunroom. So we don't plan on having to upgrade the septic system, so again, it's a 3-bedroom dwelling right now, and that's what it will remain as. As far as the building itself, the design is a modified Cape style, has various roof lines to break up the overall mass of the structure. One of the things that we did in this updated plan here was adjust the roof pitch a little bit to bring the height of the building down. It was originally proposed at 26.9 feet, or 26 feet 9 inches from the grade. Because I adjusted the roof pitches a little bit, changed some of the windows on the front of the house, which I'll go through in a minute, it dropped the height of the building down about 16 inches, so it's about 25.5 feet to the peak, and that's certainly 4.5 feet underneath the 30-foot height restriction. It's also closer to the 2 neighboring houses that I think are most affected by this one. Just in my estimation on construction that I'm aware of, I estimate both those houses at 36 Braddock and 32 Braddock to be roughly between 23 and 24 feet to the peak, just based on counting the number of shingles, a certain coursing per shingle that's pretty standard on the Cape. That kind of gives me an overall right. Again, not an exact one, just more of a kind of a construction estimate. So as a result of some of the changes, the height of the existing structure is roughly 16.7 feet. So we are increasing, there's an increase in the overall height of the building of roughly just under 9 feet. That's pretty typical, I think, of a second floor type of an addition onto an existing house. Now, in addressing some of the concerns of the neighbors, as far as the first one, I think, which is a matter of privacy. Well, because this is the nature of this lot, and I think this area, they are smaller lots, and because of the unusual nature of this particular lot, it does limit the privacy from one property to the next. There's no question about that. I think people come to this area and come to the Harwich Port area, to go to the beach, to go to the town. And I think in this area, sometimes you have to sacrifice some of the privacy that you have, you know, based on the size of the lot and so forth. And as, in addressing that, you know, as far as looking down into the McCourt's backyard, in the original plan, we had 2 bedrooms on the front of the house as part of that second floor. Now, with this revised plan, you know, we've got on one side, the master bedroom is on the right side of this addition, and on the front of the house, we've got a walk-in closet and a bathroom, where the habitable living space bedroom is in the back of the house. So I think that may minimize anybody looking into their backyard, you know, to negate some of the privacy issues that they may have. On the other side of the house, as far as the second floor addition, there's a bathroom on the front side there, and there is one window from the bedroom as part of that bedroom on that side. That I think will have a tendency to be looking down the driveway out to the street and not so much into the backyard of the neighbors. Some of the other things that we did as far as this particular plan is we changed some of the size of some of the windows on the front elevation. You know, we've eliminated a few windows as compared to what was originally proposed. You know, down the first floor, which right now there's, on the right-hand side of it, it's 3 existing windows. We're gonna maintain 3 existing windows versus the 4 that was originally proposed. And on the left side of the house there's a picture window and a couple of smaller flanker windows. You know, to be consistent with the opposite side, again, we've got a triple window there. So I don't think those are as much of an issue as far as the privacy reason, because there's an 8-foot fence in between the properties at this point. So that fence was there when the Viscos, I believe, bought the property, or it's been there for a while. So it's an 7 to 8 foot high fence.
Where is that fence?
It's
in front of the house.
Yeah, it's right in
Okay.
between the 2 properties, and there's
Okay,
there's
thank you.
fences on both properties, on the backside of 36 Braddock and 32 Braddock. And they're both 7 to 8 foot high fences. Again, we think some of the changes that we made reduce some of the, you know, negative impact that, you know, with respect to the privacy between the properties. Again, it's a real tight lot, it's a real tight neighborhood. You know, as far as parking, I'm not sure if this is not only the Visco's issue at Braddock, but it's, I think, a neighborhood issue as far as parking. And just that all of these lots tend to be smaller, and when you get people, friends, relatives, neighbors coming, you know, sometimes it spills over. This particular property, because of the nature of it, it's got a driveway that's 10 feet wide by the length of it. It's part of their property, it is their driveway. Everybody has a driveway. I think initially, you can park probably 4 or 5 cars in there, which, you know, I'm sure in the summertime, the Viscos spend the summer in the house. They don't rent it out. They spend all the summer there. And at times, I'm sure, vehicles spill over into the street. I think it happens next door. I think it happens in other parts of Harwich Port. There's a lot of properties like this where there's smaller lots, difficult places to park. One of the things that the Viscos do is that they do have relatives that live on Bank Street, and although there may be at times where there are cars in the street, they do, for any length of time, if there's you know, relatives or friends, they'll park at their relative's house on Bank Street. That's correct. Yeah. With some of these things and some of the changes that we made, a couple other issues I think that I saw and read in a couple of letters. One was relative to, you know, fire and medical emergency equipment getting in and out of there. Yeah, I believe these plans get sent to the fire department as part of a review, and I don't think we had any comments relative to, or concerns from the fire department. Finally, the Viscos have been at this location for over 20 years, and I think have been supportive neighbors when other neighbors wanted to expand their properties. The Viscos simply want to add a second floor similar to what their direct abutters have. We feel that this proposal is in keeping with the neighborhood and what has been done in Harwichport, and we feel that this proposal is not substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood than the existing house. And we, would certainly hope that you agree, and would be happy to answer any questions you might have, unless there's anything that you'd like to add.
I would just like to add, for our family, it's more of a quality of life issue. We didn't lawyer up because these are all our friends. We've had many drinks together. Their grandkids used to come over. I mean, their nieces, nephews have come over, even slept over in our house. Never thought I'd have this kind of opposition, and especially in there. We've been there for 20 years. A lot of the houses can't even see our house from where they are. On that letter, I don't know if there's another letter generated, but there's only 3 people that signed it. It was the McCourts, the Walkers, and maybe the Glen Hills. But the Juicies, they're directly in front of us. They built a bigger house in front of us. They're over us. They look right down on us. So don't the McCourts. They look right down on us. Before we bought this house, they put an 8-foot high fence across our whole front. It looks like F-troop. You can't see through. You can't see the street. You can't even see our house from the street. Not a problem. We like being there. We like them as friends. We liked everything about it. But we want what they have. They got all second floors all above us. I don't understand how us adding a second floor on half our house is gonna be detrimental to the neighborhood. It's very discouraging. I know it has no bearing on your decision, but, that's why we didn't lawyer up, or we would've had lawyers here too. But that's pretty much all I got to say.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Hilliard?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Have you ever approached the neighbors to sit down and talk to them about this project before you came here tonight?
I called them all.
Okay. Did you meet with them, or did you offer to?
No, over the phone.
Okay.
And they were very frank with me, and
Okay, good. The plan you submitted tonight, that you think is some form of a corrective action plan, or something that would appease your neighborhood, you didn't send that to anyone? Did you talk to anyone about a new plan?
We haven't had the chance to do that, because I just received myself the information
Yeah.
about the letters on
To
Monday.
simplify it as much as you can, what does your new plan do?
What does the new plan do? Well, I think initially, the original plan had 2 bedrooms on the front of the
Yeah, I think the
house.
bedrooms are important. I mean, I think the issue is height. From what I'm hearing, it's height and the ability to look down on someone's backyard. What changes have you made, if any, to sort of mitigate that? Anything?
We have dropped the height down of the overall ridge of the building.
Okay, does that
Yeah.
drop the
Doesn't drop
floors?
the floor down at all,
Okay.
all. I think we've minimized some of the windows on the front of the building.
Do you have the same number of windows in the new plans you had in your original plan?
There's less windows in the new plan, and they're smaller windows.
Okay.
And we're there all summer. We summer down there. Of course, down there maybe a week or 2 a year. They rent it out. They rent it out the rest of the year, and so are our other neighbors. They're bringing renters right down on us, which is fine. I grew up in the city. I get it. But again, I'm not asking for anything that they don't already have.
I understand that. That's, in part, may be relevant to us, but we have to take a look at the entire package. That's why I'm concerned that you did not, and I know time didn't allow it, I'm concerned you didn't have the time to sit with the neighbors who are opposing and say, look, we're making some changes here. What do you think?
I think that, if you look at some of the changes, one,
I'm looking at them right now.
originally, there were bedrooms on the front, which is habitable space. Now, we've got a walk-in closet on the front. you know, we've got a bathroom on the front. Those are spaces that you're in and out of. You're not spending a great amount of
Fair
time in it. So, same thing with the other side. That's kind of, I think, the change that it has. It's kind of the living, the second floor living is on the back of the house, which helps with the privacy on the front of the house.
Are there other houses immediately abutting you that are, will be this height, or you'll be there at the height that they are?
I think it'll be lower.
Yeah, I think like what Mr. Visco was saying, the people at 32 Braddock,
Is that a butter?
that is a direct abutter. They went through a renovation, I believe, 2014, 2015. Yeah, and their property is actually up higher.
Okay,
And I think if you're at the property, you compared, I think the overall height of their building and the McCourt's building, which is 36, are relatively, the building itself is relatively the same. But the Juicy's at 32, their property is probably 3 or 4 feet higher, grade-wise. So the overall height of their ridge is probably, and I'm guesstimating, I don't know for a fact, but it's
Yep.
roughly 3 to 4 feet just from observation of standing out there. So this house, as far as the Viscos, will be, I would say, somewhere in between those two. Because we're roughly going to be, you know, maybe a couple of feet higher than the house that's in front of them, at 36 Braddock.
thank you. Nothing further.
Ms. Muller?
Yes, forgive me if I cover some of the same ground that Mr. Hilliard did. I did visit this property on Monday. Those of you who've vacationed at the North Carolina beach know this is what's called down there a piano key lot, where you go in and then it gets wider. I'm interested in the chronology of the changes to these houses. House A, the Juicy's, and House B, the McCourt's. When you bought your house, were those 1-story or 2 stories?
I think they were both 2 stories at the time.
They were both 2 stories.
But the Juicy's renovated, and I think they increased their roof line again.
Okay, and again, the estimated height of the Juicy property and of the McCourt property versus the renovation you're proposing?
Yeah, I estimate, and it is an estimate, both of those houses to be between 23 and 24 feet to the peak. Yeah, the
Okay.
proposed house that we have here is 25 and a half feet to the peak.
But they sit on, Juicy's sit up on a hill.
That's why when you look at the two of those houses from the street, the Juicy's, which is 32, is elevation-wise, I would say 2 to 3 feet higher than
Okay.
36 in the
And
McCourt's.
the fence sits here
The fence,
in front of 34?
there's a fence that, yeah, there's a fence that goes down here, and there's a fence that goes down there. On both
Okay, and
sides.
how old are those fences?
They were there before we bought the house.
Okay.
Actually,
and-
that's one of the reasons why the people who sold us the house, they had an issue with the McCourt's, because the
Okay.
McCourt's put that
And
fence up.
any sense of how much the rear setback on the Juicy and McCourt properties are?
I don't know, to be honest with you.
Okay. I have no more questions at this time, thank you.
Mr. Hedersted?
The site plan we have dated 4/10 is no longer valid. We can use the new one dated 6/4/18.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. You've created something we've heard before, which is people are concerned about their privacy. We can understand that. The mitigation that you have prepared seems to go a long way to satisfying their comments. And quite frankly, I look at the way it's your second floor, and it's really the second floor, it's not the first floor that's causing the problem, I assume. It's strictly the second floor. And you've reduced it down only to 1 bedroom and a master bath and a walk-in closet that would have a view into your neighbor's property. Am I correct with that statement?
there is 3 bedrooms on the second floor.
I understand, but only one of them looks down on either one of those properties, I assume.
There's 1 bedroom that has 1 window from the bedroom itself that looks down onto the back of it.
Right,
So
only
there are-
one bedroom.
There is, certainly, windows in the bathroom that look down to the backyard of the neighbors.
The bathroom? Oh,
Yeah,
yeah, the bath, okay.
Yeah.
But that's attached to that bedroom.
correct.
The other master bedroom doesn't have a window looking down on somebody else's property, nor does number 1 bedroom have it either.
That's correct.
Is there any fencing along either properties that you face, either the Brian McCourt property or the Gusty property? Is there any fencing between you two other than along the gravel driveway?
Yes, there's fencing,
Yeah, the proposed, this, again, it's 80.05 and,
yeah, there's
89 feet.
fence all along here and fence all along.
okay, and how high is that?
That's the 8-foot fence.
8-foot, wood?
It's a stockade type of fence.
Stockade
yeah,
fence?
Yeah.
Okay. Nobody has suggested putting any large trees or anything in discrete areas along that fencing.
Not at this point.
Would you be opposed to that?
I'm not sure where you would be thinking, because there's not a lot of room in between.
Well, I don't know where the McCourts or the Gusties have their concern regarding their, I assume it's their showers. They don't have swimming pools, do they? They
No,
just have
no.
outdoor showers.
Just an outdoor shower. Yeah.
And I assume those are close to the house, their houses.
I believe their outdoor shower is close.
Very close to their house,
To
right.
their rear property line.
Right. To the
Which
rear
would-
property line facing you guys?
Yes.
Oh,
Not adjacent to the house?
but they would be close to the house. The people who are complaining, what's it relatively, how far distant are they from your fence? How far back are they from your fence? Rough estimate.
50 feet? 50 feet?
50 feet?
No, I don't think it's that much. So their outdoor shower,
So a tree that went up to go over 8 foot, another 5 or 6 feet, would you think that would cause them to see that you have somehow made an effort to block anybody looking down from your house into their?
I think you'd have to put it, if you're talking about from the second floor, looking down,
Second floor
Yeah.
only, the first floor is already taken care
you're
of.
talking about probably a pretty good-sized tree to be able
Currently
to do
not
that.
too big trees.
There are a couple of big oak trees there, but I don't think they're gonna afford the privacy that you might be looking for.
Okay.
Yes, I think with respect to privacy and outdoor showers, there are things that could be done to, I don't
Yeah,
think that-
an outdoor shower is normally, 8 feet tall anyway? Around it, the wood,
7,
7?
more like 7, I think.
Okay, 7 or 8 feet. So you're gonna be, so the first floor people don't have access, it's the second floor that they're worried about. And quite frankly, they could mitigate that too themselves if they wanted to, by putting trees around their outdoor shower, if that's a problem, or working with you guys, you people, to come up with some other kind of vegetation that could probably limit your accessibility to visual, those concerns that they have. Other than that, you've got yourself a very unusual piece of property. And I must comment that I think you've done a significant job in trying to mitigate the concerns that they have. I just wished you had an opportunity to spend more time with them before you came here, but I understand, you know, time is not always in your favor, so. Other than that, that's all the comments I have.
Okay, I'm not gonna vote on the case, but I do have some comments. I did, like probably all of us, drive around the neighborhood, and I would note for the board that there are a number of two-story houses in that neighborhood. There are a number of pretty big houses on their street and in the general neighborhood. And I'd also note that the test is substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood, not necessarily the neighbors. We've had many cases where we've had issues with abutting neighbors, but that's not the test. The test is, will the project, if it's approved, be substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood? I personally don't think so. I think this case meets the requirements of section 325-54A2 and also the Gale case. And I think a special permit can be granted. Mr. Donahue.
I went through the property as well. It's an interesting driveway. It's a setback, about what, 50, 60 feet?
Almost 100.
100, okay. Again, as already been mentioned, it's a unique piece of property. You're gonna fix the fence in the back? I went around the neighborhood, not familiar with the neighborhood. It's on my first run down there. Many of those homes have been remodeled, renovated over probably the last 3 to 5 years. Most of them, as the chairman says, have got second stories on them. And again, because of the Gale case, I don't find it to be more detrimental to the neighborhood. That, I'll move the question on.
Mr. Capoli.
I'm not voting either, but I do have several comments. When I look at the proposed first floor change, I know that it doesn't say that there are any bedrooms here, but I believe that you could easily use these 3 rooms as bedrooms. One, which you basically just changed the name from existing bedroom to new den. Family room was the previous master, and in this existing rec room, they all have closets, they're all private spaces, they're not pass-through rooms. So, I'm just being skeptical, that's my job, but if I owned this house and I put this addition on and I could now rent it for twice as much, I know you don't rent it right now, but that doesn't mean your circumstances aren't gonna change in 6 months or 2 years. You can get a whole lot more money for a 7-bedroom than you can for a 3-bedroom. And I believe that has a very real impact on, or potential impact, on the neighborhood. And that's why we have zoning laws, and that's why this was one of the reasons it was put down. You know, the campground, the neighborhood is very dense. You have a lot of houses sitting right on top of each other. The septic systems back there, although they get updated now and then, are all really too small, and you're not gonna get a bigger septic system, so I just see this as a 7-bedroom house now. You'd mentioned that as some of the board members kind of picked up on, it was an unusual shaped lot. I wonder, was the lot shaped differently when you purchased the property? Has something changed? I don't think so, so I don't think we're saying that it's because of the shape that, or something's changed. I mean, you bought the house as a single-story dwelling on the lot as it stood, and you probably had an attorney then who was able to explain to you, or a real estate agent who was able to say, you know, this is what you're buying. You're not buying this plus the guarantee of a second floor. And just because your neighbors have 2-story homes, nothing in the building code or the zoning laws or cases that I know state that you get to have a second floor because your neighbors have one. That's just absolutely ridiculous. So, that's what I think about that. Again, the environmental detriment to the neighborhood is definitely real. All that outflow, if you're gonna have 7 bedrooms, that's 7 or 14 people showering every day, and that water is all getting washed right into Nantucket Sound, which is how many doors down? So, yeah, it has a real detriment on the neighborhood, and it has a real detriment on Nantucket Sound, which is a very unique piece of water, nothing like it in the world. So there's a reason we do this one at a time. People who come in before us who wanna make it bigger and add use, well, if we just said, oh, you're only one house, so you can do it, well, you do that enough times and it has a real effect. Also, your site coverage is going up from 35 to 48%. I don't see how that's necessary. Building height going from 16.75 to 26.75. Your building coverage is going up to 24%. So I just see a whole lot of problems with this, and unfortunately I'm not voting, but if I was, well, anyway, I'll pass on.
Excuse me, could you clarify how many bedrooms will be in this house as proposed, if the special permit is granted?
Yeah, there will be 3 bedrooms in this house.
3 bedrooms.
I understand that they're calling it 3 bedrooms, but if you look at EX1 and then you look at A1, they've literally done nothing but change the name of the room from existing bedroom to new den. It's a room off to itself, it's got closets, so does the room next to it. That used to be called existing master bedroom, and then they just threw a new name in the AutoCAD and it comes up new family room. So you can call it whatever you want. What's that old saying about pigs and lipstick? I mean, you can say whatever you want, but to me, again, young entrepreneur, I would throw that up on vacation rentals by owner, and instead of getting $2,500 a week, I'd get $6,000 a week. That's what I would do. And I understand that it says
Right, but it's the 3-bedroom permitted house. So
I understand
anything
that,
else
but-
they do is not gonna be legal under the zoning code.
And-
And,
That
I mean,
doesn't-
your argument could be applied to many, many houses. I mean,
It
just,
could,
you know,
but they're
we could-
coming before us asking for a special permit, and I'm saying I would not be willing to grant this because,
But again, the test is substantially more detrimental
and I
to the
believe it
neighborhood.
is substantially detrimental. This is a very compact neighborhood, and instead of, if you fill these bedrooms up, instead of 7 people, you get 14, and that's 14 people using the roads,
Well-
14 people using the septic.
But then that's when we get the building commissioner to go down and put a stop to that. That's what his job is. Ms. Mayhew?
All right, required site coverage is 35%, that's the bylaw. The existing is 48.1, the proposed is
44.6. so
44.6.
It's going down.
And where's it going down, just from pulling the patios and?
Yep, yeah.
And where are those right now?
They're on the back side of the building.
By the shed?
Yeah, well, there's, along the back side of the building,
Where am I looking?
yeah, so. You have an updated site plan?
I think you do somewhere. What's that? Oh, that's what I don't have, thank you.
So there's some along back here, there's a brick kind of patio or walkway out the front here,
Okay.
which will be reducing the size of that to get to the front door, a walkway versus a whole brick patio.
Okay. Who signed that letter with the neighbors that were complaining?
There were 2 letters. One letter was signed by the following: Paul McCourt, Brian McCourt, Peter McCourt, John Giusti, Lisa Giusti, Bruce Gledhill, Jan Gledhill, Al Walker, Heather Walker, Dan, Connie, and Timothy Carroll. and that's the first. The second was Matthew Kelly, attorney, who has been retained by Paul Peter and Brian McCoy.
Okay. So you said the existing septic will remain there,
That's correct.
and it's passing. Is it a Title V?
Title V, it is a Title V, three-bedroom septic system.
How old is it? I'm just wondering where is it and where does it fit? How does it fit on there?
Just bear with me for a moment.
Yep.
I have a plan here that was dated 1993 by Moran Engineering. And it is on
Thank you.
the end of the building here, which would be this end here.
Yeah, okay. So what do we know about updated codes and things like that for replacing that? Is that, I mean, because my concern would be that they might have trouble replacing it to accommodate anything on that lot. What if
That's
the
up to the Board of Health.
Yes,
Yeah,
so that, it was what?
that's up to the Board of Health.
The Board of
Yeah,
Health, we
and
have no
so, and, but they
jurisdiction.
had said something about that, right? So what was their comment? What was her comment?
The health department said the plans show a total of 4 bedrooms, 3 on the second floor, 1 bunk room in the first. Existing septic system is designed for a maximum of 3. A fully compliant septic system will be required to be designed prior to the approval of a building permit. That's
Okay.
assuming they want more than 3. It's currently, they currently comply for 3 bedrooms. Title V, then it goes on, no variance from Title V or the local regulations will be granted for an increase in design flow from 3 bedrooms to 4. Should a septic system designed for 4 bedrooms not comply, the dwelling floor plans will need to be revised and comply with maximum of 3 bedrooms. So they're coming before us with
Okay.
3 bedrooms. If there's any change in that, Board of Health would have to.
Okay.
And if, on that, just for, on any septic plan, there's always space for, and I think there is one in that, for a reserve area in case a septic system does fail, that there is always space designed for it. In this case, that's true. I believe it's right there.
Well, that's all right. I won't be putting in the septic system, so,
that's-
yeah, I get
that's
it.
a space right there.
Okay, as long as the Board of Health says it's fine, I'm good. Okay, so we have, let's see. I'm struggling a little bit with how we define a substantial greater detriment in this case. It's
Well, you-
non-conforming, it will continue to be non-conforming, okay.
You'd have to look and see if you think it would have an economic impact, decreased values of the properties in the neighborhood. That would be one factor to look at. Substantially more detrimental, it could be, Mr. Capoli's point is valid, that there could be increase in pollution. However, in this case, I mean, everybody that puts any addition in is gonna generally add to the nitrogen loading, and that's being handled separately through the town sewer initiative. So, I'm not sure that's a valid basis for us, given what's happening in the town, to
Yeah.
deny this kind of an application.
Dave, as somebody else pointed out, it's a fact that many properties that we pass on and many properties in town could use what are currently labeled as living areas as bedrooms, and it's true, in fact, of the last property. Anywhere an existing bathroom remains
Right.
and a space has been converted to living space and with bedrooms going upstairs, that space can still be used. You can still have a pull-out sofa, you can still put a bed in there, you know. We can't control for that.
Yeah, no, I don't have a problem with that. I think it's the mass on the size of the lot that's really, that I would argue does have a detriment to the neighborhood. I mean, the other houses, they're not up against the fence and going straight up 25 feet.
But remember, it's not the lot, it's the project on the lot that would have to be substantially more detrimental. And the fact that they've got what we suppose flagged lot in New Jersey, I mean, they shouldn't be punished for that. That's the lot. It's a legal lot.
Yeah,
It's non-complying, but that's because of changes in the code over the years.
sure, yeah.
So that's not, in my opinion, a basis to say there's a substantial detriment. You have to look at the project, which would be, in this case, the addition of the second story. And does that really have a negative impact on the neighborhood when the neighborhood is full of two-story houses? I don't think so. Anyway, anything further?
Where is parking? With all this extra living space, will be lots of extra people. Where are we parking? Still in the same area?
I don't believe there'll be any extra people, because you still get 3 bedrooms. All the parking will be in the driveway. Any additional parking, if it exceeds that, we'll have to, go somewhere else.
Okay, that's all I have right now.
Okay. Is there anyone in the public that would like to speak in favor of this project? Yes, ma'am. If you could come to the podium, please, and identify yourself by name and also give your address.
Bonnie Hall, 38 Braddock. And we abut the McCourts and the Viscos. On the entire street, I've been there longer than anyone, going back to 1940. My parents started coming in 1937. The property my house is on was once owned by the Jones sisters, who operated Kima Lodge, which is now part of the Hot Stove and a real estate agency. The house I live in was originally a cottage owned by Kima Lodge, and I believe the town says it goes back to 1923. When my parents bought the cottage in 1947, after staying for 10 years at Kima Lodge, they bought it from the women who owned Kima Lodge, the Jones sisters, Janet and Ann. And the house at 38 was a cottage. After my parents bought it in 1947, they put in electricity and running water. It had kerosene stove and kerosene lamps and a pump for water. And we had no toilet. We used one at Kima Lodge. When my parents bought it, my father, being a city boy from New Jersey, put in a hotel-sized septic system because he didn't want any problems. When my father retired, they had a cellar dug. They knocked the house down except for a floor and a wall and built out and up. We do have 2 stories, but not the entire house has 2 stories. We have wonderful neighbors on the street. There are only 3, possibly 4 houses that are occupied year-round. Number 38 is one of them. The McCourts have been wonderful neighbors, but they're not there year-round. And all of their renters can look into my 1st floor bathroom and my 2nd floor bathroom, so I make sure there are shades and curtains so that they can't have voyeurism coming in. We have very little problem with anyone, but we have a lot of renters. And the McCourts sometimes have unruly renters, and we speak to them, and everything's fine. At least 3 or 4 times in the summer, someone is blocking our driveway who's at the McCourts, and we speak to them, and they move their cars. And so that's fine. It is a tight parking system on the street, and there are signs every 20 or 30 feet saying it's a $50 fine if you park there, but the police don't come by, and they certainly could get a lot of money, because when Bank Street Beach parking lot is filled, people try and park on our street, and they don't pay any attention to the parking signs. We think the design is fabulous. It kind of scares me that the McCourts have strong opposition, because we have thought many times of extending the second floor on our house, which does not go on the complete house, not changing the footprint, but putting maybe 1 or 2 more rooms on the first floor. But again, that would look out on the McCourts' backyard. I really don't want to look and see who's bathing and who isn't in their shower outside. The Viscos did share their plans, and they talked to us. And the McCourts tried to get in touch with me. I wrote back to them, emailed them, left phone messages. But my husband and I thought the plans looked terrific. And again, the Viscos aren't there year-round. In the wintertime, we can leave all of our shades up in the bathrooms and everywhere. No one's around. So it really doesn't matter. And we do try to work out our parking problems and the party problems. But for 2.5 or 3 months a year, we don't care. It's summertime. You know, I'm a Washoeshore. I did summers here all my life, and some of my closest friends are locals because I was here all summer. When Paul Doan was your state senator, I was his chief of staff. I was in Harwich Junior Theater when it started in Exchange Hall. And my roots go back, and I love Harwichport, and I love Braddock. We call it Braddock Lane because that's what it used to be. The water department calls it Braddock Lane. The assessors say it's Braddock Street, but it doesn't matter. It's Braddock, and we love it, and we love our neighbors. And I think the Viscos have a wonderful idea to put this addition on, and I hope if my husband and I ever decide to put our addition on, that we don't get problems from our neighbors who disagree and don't want us looking into their backyards. And I'm surprised because the Carrolls and the Gledhills do not abut. They're nowhere near looking into the backyard of the McCourts. So why they're objecting, I have no idea. But my husband and I fully support this, and we hope that you will too. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to speak in favor of this application? Is there anyone who would like to speak in opposition?
Hi, good evening. My name is Matthew Kelly. I think you have my letter. I represent the McCourts. I also have, by way of information, I indicated to the clerk, these are some photographs. There's been a lot of questions about the fence. I didn't want to interrupt anybody, but I have photographs of exactly what it looks like from the backyard. I'm not going to belabor a lot of the points that have already been made. The board has the benefit of my letter. I represent specifically, for the record, the McCourt family. I also have had the opportunity to review and work with some of the other members who have raised opposition to the plan. I think the basic tenement, privacy is getting a lot of attention, and I think that's the most glaring issue as you look at the photographs, and I'll speak to those directly in a minute. But I think what you're hearing from the neighborhood by way of a letter and by way from the McCourt is several people in this neighborhood do believe that this project is substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood. It's not just the McCourt sitting here saying it's going to affect our privacy and other factors, and they are saying that, but it's also people, the Gisties who neighbor on the other side have signed that letter, and 4 other families that have lived there for a long time have signed that letter. I would respectfully disagree with some of the sentiments in regards to sort of the flavor of the neighborhood. And I think it's an oversimplification to just point to, well, they have a second floor, so they should have a second floor. I don't think it's that clean. I think when you look at those photographs and you start to think about the fact that that's already 16 feet inside the required setback, that's one of the non-conforming issues with the lot, and now you're going that close to the property line. You're talking 9 feet from the property line. So by all outward appearances, this will sort of tower over, from the street. It will appear to sort of rise out from behind. So I think that's a detriment to anybody in the neighborhood to see that. I don't even practically know how the construction would work. I don't know how, I guess the right of way, and to be clear, the way in our title search, certainly there's no question that the Visco property has access to their property through the right of way to the left. But there's also clear references and title references that the Gisties have the right to use that. And I think if you went in a case study on some of the statutes that exist in Massachusetts, that the McCourts would also have the right to use that. So to suggest that that's the driveway for the property located at 34, it functions that way, but it's not exclusively that way. So I think there are legitimate concerns as it relates to the setbacks and the privacy. I don't think I have to belabor that. We've certainly discussed it a lot. But what I would like to do is really look at those photographs, because I think it really shines some light on something that you can't really get a sense of from a cold plan. I certainly commend a revised plan. We appreciate that. I haven't obviously had the opportunity to speak to my clients about it, to take a look at it. I was handed it when you were handed it, so I can't go too much into that. I think parking is a real concern. You know, we talked about what's a substantial detriment to the neighborhood. Well, property value we already talked about. I think anytime you put that kind of structure in somebody's backyard or a couple people's backyards, that's going to affect other property values. I don't think there's any real debate about that. I think the parking is a real issue on Braddock, and you know, I know Mr. Capoli's not voting on this project, but I think he makes some points that are worth noting. Nothing changed. The plan was submitted. The Board of Health looked at the plan. The Board of Health deemed it to be a 4-bedroom plan based on the way it was presented. Some wording was changed and it became a 3-bedroom plan. I'm not here to split hairs. I agree with whoever said it. That's up to the Board of Health. But what I'm suggesting is obviously it's going to increase the amount of people that go to that home. Obviously. I mean, there's extra space. Things that didn't exist before became bedrooms. Now there's other uses for other spaces. So that's going to increase parking. And parking is something that can be considered a substantial detriment to the neighborhood when there's people parked in driveways and in front of lawns and things of that nature. And I've spoken about, I think, the character of that neighborhood. I would suggest this project, even though there are 2-story houses in the neighborhood, is a very different flavor to what you get. The second story on the McCourt house has existed for at least 100 years. I don't know about the Gisty house. I don't know about the Gisty house. I don't know about anybody else's house, but they didn't put it there. They bought the house in 1964 and didn't add it. So I think my letters pretty accurately reflect the McCourt's position. I think at least one of the members of the McCourt family would like to address it in more detail. I appreciate you taking the time to read the letters.
May I ask?
Happy to answer questions if you want me to.
Yeah, Mr. Hilliard.
How do you define detrimental?
Well, I think there's several factors. There's a bunch of case law on it, but I would think property value is an obvious factor. I think parking is an obvious factor. I think public safety is an obvious factor. And again, I didn't see the fire chief's comments, but you know, I allude to that in my letter.
But specifically, what's detrimental about someone putting a second story on their house?
Well, I think again, I'm reluctant to adopt that language. I don't think.
Well, the statute, we have to.
No, the detrimental language I'm fine with. I'm saying that sort of the clean way of saying, is adding a second story detrimental? I would say not in every case, of course not. It's not always detrimental.
Right.
Sometimes it's not at all.
So I'm asking you
But
specifically.
in this case, I think
how do you
adding
define
a
it?
second floor of this nature, this close to existing property lines, with this kind of impact on the surrounding areas, I think it's clear that it would have a direct impact on property value.
And why?
Well, because I think the backyard and the private spaces, and now this is specifically to the McCourts, I think are lessened, for sure. I mean, you know, you have much less privacy in your home, and I think, you know, it's the same analysis you would apply if you built 2 beautiful homes, and one is secluded and by itself in the back of the woods, and one is sort of in the middle of a heavily trafficked area. Well, obviously the one in the middle with more eyes on it's going to be worth less, right? I mean, because you have less privacy. So
you're suggesting that every not two-family, but every second-story home that abuts close to another home is detrimental because they can look down into someone's yard?
I'm suggesting that any home that would be within a 9-foot setback, yeah, would probably be detrimental to their neighbors in that
And then.
Based
it's-
on these situations, I mean, I'm loath to
I
accept the
understand.
generality,
Okay,
but in this particular situation, I think it is.
But again, the test is to the neighborhood.
I understand.
Okay?
And
I
that's-
can understand how your clients, yes, maybe their privacy might be impacted, but it's certainly not gonna impact on some of these other abutters that signed that letter.
Yeah, and
It's
I
not
don't-
gonna look into their yards.
And they may have different motivations behind why they're not here. I don't represent them, so I can't speak directly to why they believe the project would be substantially detrimental to the neighborhood. You know, I think the letter alludes to parking. I think it alludes, you know, the sort of the overall feel of the neighborhood.
Okay, now wait a minute, the parking, they've got a three-bedroom house, we're gonna have a three-bedroom house when they're done. How is that gonna impact on the parking?
I mean, I understand, Mr. Chairman, that that's your position, that just the changing of the, sort of the writing on the plan keeps it 3 bedrooms. I guess, I just respectfully think it's fairly obvious from the plan and the way it's been drawn out, even with the corrections, that it's going to create a greater strain. But you and I can just agree to
I mean, it's
disagree.
not obvious to me, that's why I'm
Okay.
asking you to,
so,
the three-bedroom, how is this gonna impact
Well, I mean,
parking?
we
And
went from a-
parking is an issue below Route 28 in
Sure.
July and August. We
It was
know
a,
that.
well, I mean, it was a bunk room on the plan, and then it became a rec room.
Well, okay, the Board of Health says 3 bedrooms, and we're gonna put
But
that.
the Board of Health didn't say that. The only thing the Board of Health that we actually have from the Board of Health is what was read into the record. I think there was a representation made that there was an oral conversation with the Board of Health. But I think what, I
the Board of Health says it's
I think they reviewed the
approved
plan.
for 3 bedrooms.
Right.
If they're gonna go to 4, then they're gonna require to go back to the Board of Health, put in a different system that will comply. So anything more than 3 bedrooms, the Board of Health would not allow a building permit to be issued or an occupancy permit to be issued, either way. May I, Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
So if detrimental means it's something bad,
Sure.
then you have to prove that it's substantially.
Mhm.
Substantial is more than 50%, something, it's more likely that it does than that it doesn't.
Yeah, I think it's a subjective test, you know, and it's a tough one, the way the laws are written. I would say the combination of factors present here, at least in the eyes, of some of the people in the neighborhood,
Okay.
feel that it would be substantially more detrimental. Whether it's feel, whether it's parking, whether it's privacy, I think those things together would be the argument made by the McCourts, my clients, the McCourts. Again, I can't speak exactly for what everybody
Thank you.
else would think.
Thank you.
Mr. Kelly, what is the rear setback on the McCourt property, please?
I believe it is roughly, you know, I'm speculating here on in front of their plan. You mean the back of the courthouse to the back property line?
Yes.
It's about 30 feet,
30 feet.
25, 30 feet.
So it's quite substantially
Quite
far from the Visco house.
I agree with that.
Okay. And how many bedrooms does the McCourt property have?
I believe it has 4 bedrooms.
4 bedrooms. And when the McCourts advertise their house on VBRO or We Need a Vacation, and they say it sleeps X, how many is X?
8.
8. Thank you.
Anything further, sir?
But I just one other thing.
Oh, sure.
I mean, and it's nothing to do with this. However, you know, you do have a right of recourse
Certainly.
against anyone who is licensed or certified for 3 bedrooms, and all of a sudden you see 12 people hanging out there day in and day out. And the recourse is to call the Board of Health, and they have the legal authority to come in and look at your house, and if they see a 4th bedroom or anything that looks like a 4th bedroom in a 3-bedroom house, they'll give you a cease and desist order. And this Board of Health does this a lot because of vacation is a cycle. So I realize that anyone with a big house can bring all the folks in and have them sleep over and so on and so forth. But there is a right of recourse to stop that. Anyway, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Anything further, sir?
Nothing from me. Thank you.
Is there someone else who would like to speak to this case? Yes, sir, if you could go to the podium, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is Dave Visco. I'm one of the 4 trustees of this property, and I just wanted to share a couple of comments that I believe
I'm sorry, which property?
of 34 Braddock.
Okay,
Okay,
good. Thank you.
thanks. I was gonna ask that too. Go ahead,
And
thank you.
what I do want to share, because I understand Mr. Cipoli's concerns and some other comments that I've heard, this is a family home. It's in trust. We made that decision a couple of years ago. Of the 4 trustees, we're all siblings. 2 of the 4 trustees have their own homes on the Cape. So the assertion that this home is going to introduce a large number of family members that will come from, I don't know where, because we don't have any more family members. It's the 4 siblings. I have my home at 92 Bank Street in Harwich Port. My sister Cynthia Conroy has her home in Dennis with her family. And when we come to this home, it's Braddock. It's the family home. It's where we come to congregate. I don't sleep there. My children don't shower there. My other sister's children don't shower there. This is where we come to be together in the same way that we go to my other sister's house in Dennis and my house on Bank Street to be together. We don't rent this home. We never have an intention to ever rent it, and I understand that circumstances may change. But we put it in trust for reasons, and my parents were honoring my parents' wishes, who in fact are still alive. But this is truly something that is of personal value to us. It's how we live. It's how we spend our time together. And we're not going to introduce additional people. The traffic's not going to change. We do our best to put cars in the public lot. We put cars at my house. We try to be sensitive. The other thing I want to address, because privacy is something I'm personally sensitive to, I don't like tall fences. I call them something else. I call them hate fences when they're really tall. I don't like them, and I didn't like when my neighbors in Wellesley did that to me. I didn't like when they put a huge fence up. It changed my entire property. So I'm very sensitive to privacy issues. But I also can tell you, we have an outdoor shower, okay? We have a porch where we sit and have our dinner. We have no privacy today. So we do respect the fact that someone's concerned about their privacy, but I just want this group to know, we don't have privacy today, because those homes look down on our shower. The kids, they keep their bathing suit on when they shower. No one's naked because we don't have a wall around it, but that's where the shower is. And our porch where we have dinner, people can look down. And my niece knew we were coming here tonight, my brother's daughter, and she said, you know, they can look into our bathroom from their house. Well, that's why you have blinds. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to speak to this case? Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'm Brian McCourt from 36 Braddock, and I would like to say that both the Viscos and the Crowleys are very, very good neighbors. They've been good neighbors ever since they moved in. A couple things to point out: this is not personal. This is just taking a property that our parents bought 53 years ago, and you're correct, Bonnie, it's not 100 years, it's probably closer to 70 years. The house has been there.
Out of wood from the 38 hurricane.
Right. No, you're correct. It's not 100. It's not 100. So, but what I would like to say is the Viscos and the Crowleys, there's 2 families in there right now, not 1. And they do have kids. So if the 2 families share their own bedrooms, then maybe it could be 3. But there's definitely 2 bedrooms set up for both parents. Again, great, great people. The fence was put up, and the Hurleys, who moved, were there for a number of years before the Hurleys bought it. Hurley didn't have any problem with it. We're very good friends with the Hurleys. Continue to be friends with the Hurleys. So that is this working right now? Yeah. That just needs to be pointed out. We don't want to be standing here, and we didn't lawyer up. We were notified by the plans. Bruno made comment to it when we were down Memorial Day weekend, and I didn't make much of it. Then we got notified. So when we got notified, we turned around, talked to some of our friends, and they said, you should talk to someone who knows what's going on down there. So we met Matt, and we hired Matt. So we didn't want to be bad neighbors. We just have a house that we've had there for some time. We've had a number of people buy the property behind us and sell the property. As a matter of fact, the fence is completely on our land. There's about 1.5 or 2 feet that the fence comes out. We gave a bigger space to some of our neighbors so they could drive in and out of what is the right-of-way. We don't care. Parking is an issue. We told some of our neighbors last year, Dan Carroll, who's here, that we're gonna take part of our yard, I told Bruno this on Memorial Day weekend, to the right of our driveway, and we're gonna make 2 more spots, because the neighborhood is overcrowded with cars. And that could be some of the renters that are there as well, but we wanna address that issue. So we do think it's very important, and we do think that the addition would be a detriment. We definitely do. I mean, I wish it was different. I wish there was more land. I wish they could go up. We don't want to lose them as neighbors. But we also, the women in our house, made mention of the showers. You know, it's not just us. I mean, quite frankly, I think they'd draw their shades if I went out to the shower. That wouldn't be an issue. But I will say, though, that, you know, a comment that Bruno had is, we just want what they want. Well, some of our neighbors who bought the house, then grew out of the house, bought another house. I'm not suggesting, and I'm not saying that we want the Crowleys or the Viscos to leave. We don't. We like them very, very much. We just think that this is, to us, a detriment. Our value, our privacy, additional parking. Their kids are outstanding. They're great kids. But they got a number of kids that have gotten out of college now. Where are they going to come on the weekends? To see their parents, which is normal. But that's additional parking. I'm not suggesting that they're creating the parking problem. I'm saying it is a bunk room. Like it or not. And when you add more bodies, there will be more cars. And that goes for us too. And the way that we're gonna solve that is to add 2 more parking spots. We're gonna take some of our lawn and we're gonna create parking spots. So again, if you really look at the plan and you go up, it does pose to, at least to us, I think also to the neighborhood in terms of the parking, some of the other things that Matt cited, but to us, it definitely is a detriment in our eyes. And again, I wish that some of the comments weren't such that we put up a fence because, and then the Viscos and the Crowleys had to put up with that. They have privacy, we have privacy on our decks. That goes up, we lose our privacy, they still keep their privacy. They're great people, and they're great neighbors, very, very good, but this is not a good plan.
Ms. Mulder?
Yeah, Mr. McCourt, is your outdoor shower enclosed?
It's enclosed, yes.
And again, the setback, rear setback on your house from the property line?
That is less. Yeah, it's closer. That's probably about. Yeah, it's behind the garage, so the garage is pushed back. That's probably closer to about 7 feet or so, give or take.
I'm sorry, there was 30 feet?
It's about 25. That's
30 feet to the main house.
If you see the main house is pushed back even further, and then our garage, if you're looking at the house, to the right, goes deeper, and that's where our shower is.
Okay, but I'm asking, if I were in the second-story addition to Mr. Visco's house.
Yep.
And I'm looking down, so there's 9.3 feet of his frontage, and then how many feet between there and the back of your house?
Well, there's a picture.
The pictures are
Got 'em here.
somewhere else.
That's the shower. That's how close. That's their house. So it's gonna be up here. Their house will be way up here.
What line is this on this fence here?
Right over here. Or over here.
So Kathleen,
This is right here.
So is this the back of your house?
That's the side of our house.
That's the side of your
Yep,
house?
you can see right here, that's the side, that's the same picture. Looking at it,
Okay,
it's just
and
further
how
in.
many, again, between the back of your house and this fence, how many feet?
That's from here, it's probably 30 feet. From
30
this part of the
feet.
house. But from this is behind the garage. Our garage is over here,
Okay, thank you.
so you can see how close that is. Thank you.
Over where you were talking about, I think over where their garage is, it's more, it's closer to 10 or 11 feet. The Visco's house is closer to 10 or 11 feet back from the property line, from where I'm looking at the plan. It's, the 9.3 is over behind the Juicy's.
Right, and
Yeah,
Mr.
yeah.
McCourt's house is something like 30 feet back from the property.
The house and then the, yeah, and the
So-
garage is, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
And just to point out as well, and again, when that right-of-way was set, the garage was built, and there was a parking driveway out back. There's no longer a parking area, it's more of a living area now. And then the garage was converted to a bunk room. And that's how it resides right now. Any way you want to classify, it's fine.
It used to be parking for the Visco's property. They
Mhm.
put a garage, they converted the garage to a bunk room. And now the only way they can park is on the right of way.
Okay, thank you, sir. Anybody else want to speak? I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Second. Public hearing is closed. Any further discussion by the board? Mr. Hilliard?
I just want to voice a concern, and it has nothing to do with the substance of the matter of what's before us, but from a procedural point of view, I think when you have abutters who are not happy with what's being proposed to them, that it screams to sit down with them and see if there is a happy medium, or at least give and take. And I'm raising the issue because we have a plan here tonight we've never seen, butters have never seen. Whether or not it has any substance or not, I don't know. Probably it does, probably it doesn't. But my concern is that I don't think, we lose a lot by, people show up, everyone, including us, and we haven't seen this new plan. And we're discussing a plan that may have good substance or may not have it. And I think it's not fair to neighbors to show up. It wasn't advertised that way. People who came in to look at what they were building saw the old plan. They never got to see the new one. I'm not even sure if that's a violation of the statute as to how, notice has to be given on what it is. Is it reasonable to assume that they could come in here and see a plan that, is reasonably speaking for what it is they want to do? I just have that concern. It has nothing to do with whether I believe the petitioner has met their burden or not. It's just that I would have been much more comfortable if there had been more discussions between the neighbors.
You can
That's all.
certainly make a motion that we push it off till the next meeting, and in the interim, urging the neighbors to get together
I
and
realize
talk.
that, I've given that, I've given that a lot of thought this evening, just sitting here. I don't know how the petitioner feels, I don't know how the neighborhood feels, whether there is a point at which there can be a reasonable, not a settlement, but some kind of a
Accommodation.
A
reasonable.
meeting of minds,
Yeah,
yeah.
you give a little and they give a little, I don't know. From the substantive point of view, I'm not convinced. I'm convinced, I believe, that they have met their burden. That's from a substantive point of view tonight. I'm just concerned that even though they may have, from my point of view, that the neighbors haven't had the opportunity to look at it. I'm just interested in what everyone else has to say before I make a motion, if I'm gonna make one.
Strictly as a procedural matter, I'm concerned about voting on a request that's based on a plan that hasn't been filed and approved, and I would look to Shayla to tell us whether this is acceptable or not, or whether this plan should be filed before we vote on this.
Well, we have accepted revisions at the meetings before, and I haven't seen anything written including that, so I think it's up to the board to.
I know we have accepted plans at our meetings, and it becomes part of the file, and yes, you don't have the whole time to review it, but I'm not sure that's required. I think the legal notice requirement has been met.
Yep, I think we've met the
I
legal
think that's
notice,
been
the
met.
time frame.
Now,
I-
whether that's a good way to go forward or not, it's a different question. I think legally we can, but I have no problem putting it off till the next meeting, and if these folks can work it out, fine, and if not, then we'll reopen it and decide. I don't know, Al, Megan, you're gonna vote on the case? Dean, the three of you guys, any input?
Mr. Chairman?
Is there any other way to mitigate the situation in either of your parties' minds, other from what you now have seen in both plans? You've got the old one and you got the new one, you've seen what they've mitigated. Is there anything that's in either of yours minds that says there is more to do, or we have an impasse?
I guess my question is, would the McCourts accept a second floor on Mr. Visco's house under any circumstances, or are they
This is tough.
firmly against it?
It's just tough to weigh in on that, like on the spot. I mean, I think if we haven't had a chance to discuss that, I think there would be dialogue if the board is willing to continue it. I don't think it's totally foreclosed to have a dialogue, but it's hard for me to.
They're all shaking their heads, yes. But there could be dialogue.
And I think that certainly we did this to try to mitigate some of their concerns, and I think there certainly could be continued dialogue, because I don't, we're not in, we don't have to start this tomorrow, as far as the construction of it, so, if it was continued until the next hearing.
Mr. Chairman, I would move to continue the hearing for 1 month, if we have an agenda that they can fit.
Now, well, it would be at 7 o'clock at, what's the next date?
Somebody quick on a phone.
Oh, wait a minute.
I think it's July the 25th. We have 3 other cases, so we have room.
Okay, so continue it till July 25th at 7 p.m. That
And I would
be our
move that we
first case.
continue the hearing till July 25th at 7 o'clock.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
And I would also hope that, from my perspective, that when
Wait a
you
minute,
all
Jim.
return,
Opposed?
No.
Okay, so the motion's carried.
so when you all return, there's been a dialogue, and there's a dialogue, I think everyone will be happier.
Do they have to go through the Board of Health again?
No.
No.
Okay.
Okay, so we will reconvene this case on July 25th, 7 o'clock p.m. It will be our first case. Thank you all for coming and participating.
Mr. Kelly might like to have his
I never have
photograph.
the schedule in front of me. Why do I never have the schedule in front of me? I don't understand.
Dame.
damage has been done.
I don't like plans coming in.
I didn't either.
They have to see them. It's unfair.
They may have been shaking their heads, yes.
All right, don't everybody leave. We still have more cases.
They're gonna have to make some concessions.
Well,
I have every confidence that Mr. Kroll will be able to march us right to
Yes.
the end of the meeting.
Captain Kroll.
Yeah. We know you can do
All I
it.
need to do is Mr. Attorney Crowe.
Give the man a permit. Stamp his stuff.
I mean, he couldn't slip it.
All right, let's continue, please. Thank you. Mr. Hilliard.
Case number 2018-13. Michelle L. and Gavin J. Archibald, trustees of the Michelle L. Archibald Revocable Trust of 2017, through their agent, attorney William Kroll, have applied for a special permit or in the alternative of variance to enclose an existing porch to create habitable floor area into a pre-existing non-conforming single-family dwelling. The application is pursuant to the code of the town of Harwich, section 325-54A2, as set forth in Mass General Laws, chapter 48, section 6. The property is located at 8 Atlantic Street, also known as 8 Atlantic Avenue, map 6B, parcel L137, in the RH2 zoning district. So we have correspondence on that.
3 long letters, Mr. Hilliard?
I can find them.
Oh, wow.
Thanks. This is from the, I'm sorry, from
Conservation.
Shayla Delaney.
It's from the conservation.
Conservation, reviewed by the Conservation Commission, and they say that 2/18/13, which is this case, will be reviewed at July 5th, 2018 Conservation meeting. And then we have a memo from Megan Eldridge, Health Director, that says the Board of Health approved the enclosure of the existing porch on May 14th, 2018, with the following conditions. 1, 2 two-bedroom maximum. 2, no additional increase in habitable space. And 3, a copy of the floor plan and approval shall be recorded at the Barnstable County Registry of Deeds to run with the property. Additionally, the porch must be on sono tubes. If you require any further information, please do not hesitate to contact me.
I'm sorry, Jim, who was that from? That last
That
sentence?
was from the
Megan
Health
Eldridge,
Health
Board of Health.
Director.
Wait a minute. Just one. I
Health
think
Director.
with the hearing aids, it drives me nuts. Sorry. Just one of you.
That
Tell
was
me.
from Megan Eldridge, Health Director.
The Health Director, thanks. Okay, Attorney Crowell, in this case, we will have voting. Mr. Hilliard, Ms. Muller, Mr.
Excuse me,
Hedersted.
Mr. Chairman, I have to recuse let me see if this is the one I have to recuse myself.
The one where they want to enclose the porch and move the house a foot forward.
Is this the one?
Faces on.
No, it's all right. I'll just tell you 1 second, I have it here. Yes, I have to recuse myself from voting, just from voting.
Okay, well, I'm gonna ask you to sit in the audience then.
I am.
Thank you. So we'll have Ms. Muller, Mr. Hedersted, Mr. Donahue, Mr. Capoli, and Ms. Mayhew voting.
Okay.
I will not vote. So, Attorney Crowell, if you could introduce yourself for the record and who is with you, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Attorney William Crowell from Harwich Port. I have Kathy DeMeyer seated with me from Encore Construction. Seated behind me are Michelle and Gavin Archibald, who are the trustees of the trust the family trust that owns the property. This is down in the campgrounds. I'm sure you're all familiar with it. What they're seeking to do is simply to enclose the porch. A couple of years ago, the Archibalds received approval from this board to put a second floor addition on, which they did, and the porch existed, and at that time, and now they're seeking to enclose it. They're not making it into a bedroom of any kind, and they are just making more habitable floor area. There will also be, on the eastern side, a little proposed porch entryway that will increase the site coverage by 1% and the building coverage by 1%. Ms. DeMeyer and I have been to the Board of Health, had a hearing in front of the Board of Health. The Board of Health had a restriction when the septic system was approved several years ago that there would be no increase in habitable space. The Board of Health saw fit to allow the increase of habitable space by enclosing the porch, because it's not a bedroom, so it's not gonna affect flow on the septic system. So that was the gist of Megan Eldridge's report to you, and I have their decision here to record at the Registry of Deeds saying, yes, they're okay with this. It's a 2-bedroom maximum, no increase in habitable space beyond what the plan shows tonight for enclosing the porch. So they've been before this board a couple of years ago and received a special permit to renovate the second floor. We've been to the Board of Health in the last month to get the Board of Health's approval to increase the habitable space by enclosing the porch. There's no change to the footprint other than that little proposed entryway, so you can come in from the east side off of Highland instead of off of Atlantic Street. And
Just one question before you go on. The proposed entryway, is that by the 10-foot five line?
10.5, yes.
That little,
yes.
okay, thank you.
And the existing house is 10.5 from Highland Avenue, and the porch would be 9.5, and you'd think that, oh, well, they're coming closer to Highland Avenue than the existing house. But if you look to the north, then there's an existing deck that is only 7.9 feet. So we have the ability to go, stay on and not come any closer than 7.9 feet from Highland Ave. So we thought going from 10.5 down to 9.5, we're still not 7.9 feet from Highland Avenue. So we'd ask that the board grant a special permit this evening on the grounds that this enclosure of the porch would not be a substantial detriment to the entire neighborhood. There would be no substantial increase in noise, odors, fumes, congestion, traffic or the like, and it would not constitute a nuisance. And we'd ask that the board grant the special permit this evening. Thank you.
And you can't look at anybody's shower, right, from the porch? Okay, just want to make sure.
Yeah, I don't have any comment on that.
Ms. Muller?
That went by pretty quickly, what Mr. Hilliard said, and then what you had to say, Mr. Cole. I understood Mr. Hilliard reading the letter from the health department or summarizing it to say that there would be no increase in habitable space permitted. Did I misunderstand
Yes.
you? I
Yes.
understood you to say that the health department said there would be no increase in habitable space.
Beyond what we've
Beyond
requested.
what's presented. So
Right.
which is it?
It's what I said. Okay, and it's what they say in their decision. The whole
Okay.
reason we had to go to the Board of Health was they had an existing restriction that says you shall not increase the habitable space of this house without coming to us, the Board of Health, and getting us to allow an increase of the habitable
Okay.
space.
Okay, and
So we did.
And the front setback of 10.5 feet that you're
Yes.
referencing is not on Atlantic, but on Highland?
Yes, on the east side.
Okay,
If you go north of that, you see 7.9.
I do see that, yes.
Okay, but even if you didn't have the 7.9, the Gale case, we can intensify an existing nonconformity. So for 10.5, we could go to 9.5 if the board finds that's not a substantial detriment to the neighborhood. But we could already go to 7.9.
Okay, but the front setback on Atlantic is,
Like 3 feet.
okay. No more questions.
Mr.
Thank
Hedersted?
you.
Which is more than my next case, which was more like a foot on Ocean Ave.
Mr. Hedersted?
You are enclosing the first floor porch. Is it gonna be a 4-seasoned room or just a 3-season room? Or a
It's
2-season room?
increasing the size of the living room. It's a habitable space, heated,
It will be heated?
yes.
It becomes part of a living room.
I see the on sheet A4. I see the existing floor plan and I see the proposed floor plan. And I'm having a great deal of difficulty in marrying the two up.
Okay. Look at if you look at the one on the left, the existing floor plan.
Yeah, I see it, yeah.
The porch is not in the dark, it's not emboldened in black.
That's what I was thinking.
All right,
Yeah,
so
it's
the
not.
porch is the lighter lines that go down towards the bottom of the page, and then when you look at the plan on the right-hand side, then the outline of that porch is now emboldened with the darker walls, because it's going to be habitable space now.
So the footprint is not changing?
Correct, it's not changing at all.
That's what I was trying to get at.
Right.
Okay, so the footprint's not changing, still the same number of bedrooms, et cetera, et cetera?
Yes.
Okay,
Just
I
the
have no further
living room's
questions.
getting bigger, that's all.
No further questions.
No second story change. Okay. I think it meets the I'm not gonna vote, but 325, 54A2, and also the Gale case, I believe,
Yep.
permits this board to grant a special permit in this case. I think we do need, excuse me, the condition on no construction, demolition, out exterior between June 30th and Labor Day 2018, 2019, because it's a nightmare down there.
You gonna have substantial amount of workers there, or trucks, or
We've
cranes, or anything like that, or what?
No, I mean, we've worked in that neighborhood a lot, and never had a problem, off-season, because there's not that many people that live there.
Right.
Yeah, it's the off-season, it's okay, but, I
Off-season.
mean, even today, trying to get
It's right
down-
across the
wow.
street from the public parking.
So you don't
beach
have a
parking.
problem with doing it off-season?
No.
Okay, thank you.
By the time we get through the appeal period and get apply for our building permit and get it,
The summer will be over.
summer will be over. So I'm not gonna fight you on this one, Mr. Hedersted.
Isn't bureaucracy fun?
And they'll need someplace to live. Oh, no, you're first, I'm sorry.
Okay, the only other thing is, I'm not sure if we need to make a further condition compliance with the Board of Health requirements. I think we should have that in the decision, because the
Who's gonna add
piece of
that?
paper that Attorney Crowell has there has not yet been recorded, so I
Well,
think
it's
that's.
been issued, the decision's been issued. With all due respect, I think it's redundant, because the Board of Health makes their decision, you make your decision. When I'm in front of the Board of Health, they don't say, well, we should incorporate the Board of Appeals decision into our decision. They have separate jurisdictions.
But there's a
Do whatever you
first.
want, but I'm just saying, I don't think it's necessary.
It didn't necessarily, we could have come to you and then gone to them.
Right.
Well, I think the other thing, though, 2 bedrooms maximum, I'd kinda like that in. That's one of
It's
the
in their
Board of Health's-
decision.
Yeah,
They already got us on that.
okay.
He's got a point.
I just have
Actually,
a-
yeah, I think it's a better point, because now that I look at it, this is the one that says no increase in habitable space, and you have something that
That's what it
now
says in their decision.
different.
Their
Okay.
decision says the dwelling is restricted to a maximum of 2 bedrooms, number 1. Number 2, no increase in habitable space or square footage. Number 3, a copy of the floor plan and the approval should be recorded at the Registry of Deeds. So we have to attach the floor plan.
Right.
No increase in habitable space or square footage.
Didn't change from what I already said to you, Mrs. Muller,
From these plans.
okay?
From these plans, that's
Right.
where it's,
Right.
okay.
In the decision, the whole decision, a hearing was conducted to reconsider orders of conditions for the septic system were granted on 3 prior occasions, and the applicant seeks to request an increase of habitable space by enclosing the first floor porch. That was the
Okay,
whole
that's-
basis.
Okay,
This space will be incorporated into the living room. The number of bedrooms will remain the same. The addition will be placed on sonotubes with no further variances to the septic system required. Then they say, after they granted it, after considerable discussion, they grant the request for increased habitable space with the following conditions.
okay. Thank you.
Okay, I'm happy with that now that you've read that.
Yes.
All right.
And that's all I have. Mr. Donahue?
I just have one question. The room is going to be heated, as you said. Is it going to be entirely insulated as well?
Oh, yes, it'll
And
have to be
And there's going to be an interior wall knocked down?
exterior wall, knocked down, actually.
Well, if it's going to be incorporated into the dining room or living room,
Right, we're gonna,
take the wall out from the existing porch, that,
the exterior wall
okay, yeah,
for the porch, yes.
okay. Nothing more, thank you.
Mr. Capoli?
No questions.
Ms. Mayhew.
No question.
I have a question.
No
Mr.
one asked you.
Hedersted.
No more questions.
Sir,
Yes, sir.
Moran Engineering Associates plan dated 1/2017, and the
Yes.
other one dated 5/21/18.
Yes.
What is the one, why should I get the one dated 1/2017?
Because in the lower right, it says existing conditions.
Okay, we don't need that, do we?
We do, because you need to see what we're changing, if anything.
Okay.
So
I
then,
will-
the
I will-
second plan has the proposed little porch entryway on the right-hand
I
side.
got you. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Is there anyone in the public that would like to speak either in favor or against this case? Hearing no one, I'll take a motion to close the hearing.
So moved.
Second, public hearing is closed, sorry, public hearing, not the hearing, public hearing. Any further discussion by the board? I'll entertain a motion in the case.
Somebody want to, okay. Through you, Mr. Chairman, the board hereby grants, under case 2018-13, a special permit to close an existing porch to create habitable floor area onto the pre-existing non-conforming single-family dwelling. The application is pursuant to the code of Town of Harwich, 325-54A, paren 2, paren, as set forth in MGL 40A, Section 6. The property is located 8 Atlantic Street, AKA 8 Atlantic Ave, map 6B, partial L137, in the RH2 zoning district. The board feels that this granting of this special permit finds that there is no new nonconformity and that there will be no resulting substantial detriment to the neighborhood. In addition, this property will not be, construction will not take place during the period Labor Day 2018, or Labor Day through
June 30th to
June
Labor.
June 30th through Labor Day 2018, SAS 2019. And there will be no significant landscaping done during that same period. In addition, this approval is based upon,
I'm not sure of those dates, Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry to interject, but shouldn't it be, you're talking about 2019, I think he said 2018?
2018 and 2019.
The same
And 19,
period,
okay,
the
now I
same
have it,
period,
yes.
2019, yes.
Okay, the existing conditions plot plan, Moran Engineering, dated 1/2017. And the Moran Engineering plan, proposed condition plot plan, dated 5/21/18. Drawings sheets A1 through, and, Jesus, and including, looks like, through and including A7. And in addition, the Zoning Board of Appeals decision on case number 08-16, dated February 27, 2008, and filed at the district court.
I'm pretty sure I heard, Mr. Chairman, I heard Mr. Hedersted say to enclose the porch, not to close it, but to enclose it, right? At the very beginning, part of the motion.
That's what
I thought it
That's what
was
you heard.
enclosed, but I don't remember.
Let's see.
But the motion
Variance
should read.
to enclose.
There we go.
Enclose, yes.
That's what I thought I heard, thank you.
Yep. The decision wasn't filed with the district court, though, just the town clerk.
Registry of Deeds. It was
Registry of
recorded at
Deeds.
the Registry of Deeds.
Registry of Deeds.
Registry of
okay.
Deeds. I said
I-
district court, registry of deeds.
I will entertain a second. second by Mr. Donahue. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Special permit granted.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Do we get a dinner break tonight?
A break of 3 minutes even?
Okay, so. Shoo, boy.
Do you mind my asking why you so?
You need these back or anything?
No, no, just, can we break for 2 minutes?
Sure.
That's what I.
We're gonna have a 5-minute adjournment. reconvene.
Case number 218-14. Karen Fay, through her agent, attorney William Kroll, has applied for a special permit or in the alternative a variance to construct a second floor deck onto a pre-existing non-conforming single-family dwelling. The application is pursuant to the code of the town of Harwich, section 325-54, in table 2. Area regulations are set forth in Mass General Laws, chapter 48, section 6. The property is located at 3 Ocean Ave, map 6B, parcel L135, in the RH-2 zoning district. We have one piece of correspondence from the health director. I have reviewed the application for special permit from the zoning board of appeal for the project at 3 Ocean Avenue. The septic system was designed for 4 bedrooms in 1983. The septic system is in the other side of the house, away from the proposed deck. This proposal does not impact the septic system. Should you require any further information, please do not hesitate to contact me.
Okay, voting on the case will be Mr. Hilliard, Ms. Muller, Mr. Hedersted, Mr. Donahue, and Ms. Mayhew.
Could you say that one more time? I'm sorry.
Everyone but
Uh,
and him.
Not Mike and me.
Okay, sorry about that. Okay.
We'll do it the easy way. Attorney Crowell, if you could introduce yourself for the record,
Yes.
please, and who is with you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Attorney William Kroll from Harwich Court, representing Karen Fay, seated with me here, and she's the owner of the property at 3 Ocean Ave. I wanted to get the number right, 3 Ocean Ave. We were in front of this board a year and a half ago for a special permit, which the board granted, to move the house a little bit north and to the right, if you remember. It was right on the corner. And she wanted to put a full foundation under, which Ambrose Homes did, and moved it so that we're now more like 3 to 6 feet off the road instead of 6 inches off the road. And a picture's worth 1,000 words. Here's the house, okay? And you'll see that sun porch. What we're asking for tonight is a deck on top of that sun porch. She's gonna sell seating to look into everybody else's
Oh, jeez.
Oh, geez.
We certainly hope not.
on the second floor.
Definitely got concerned for a second.
In all seriousness, sorry, strike that from the record, Mr. Chairman. She wants to have a deck on the second floor. It faces westward. It does not face towards the ocean.
No.
It faces westward. And that's creating vertically more space or structure within the 25-foot setback from the road. So much to Ms. Fay's chagrin, we had to come back to the Board of Appeals to put the deck on. Not enclosed, it's just a deck. And we had to go to the Historic Commission, which we did, received their approval. I have their decision. And Ray Chesley, the building commissioner, said, we have to come to you. It's a pre-existing, non-conforming structure. Even moved, it's still not 25 feet from the road. So, in accordance with the Gale case, we're intensifying an existing nonconformity vertically by placing a deck on the top of that sun porch. And if you look at the plans that I filed along with the picture, it's this one right here that shows the deck. That's the only one you really have to be concerned with. And it will have a railing, and they're gonna reconfigure the sunroom a little bit. As shown on this plan, the windows will be a little bit different to allow for the deck. And it would, my client really would enjoy, really will enjoy the deck, as will tenants, if she rents it. And her argument is that that second floor deck would not be a substantial detriment to the entire neighborhood. There's no change to the footprint, there's no change to building coverage or site coverage. Everything stays the same, except reconfiguring the sunroom a little bit and putting a deck on top of it. So there would be no substantial increase in noise, odors, fumes, congestion, or the like. It's already been approved by the Historic Commission, and we'd argue that there would, as a result, be no substantial detriment to the neighborhood, and ask that you grant the special permit this evening.
Just to refresh my memory
Yes.
on the plot plan.
Yes.
Is it the dark line that's the existing, or is it the one with the dashes? I don't remember from 2016.
The dashes are the existing house.
Okay.
And it moves, it's like using your finger on the computer screen, and you're moving the house up a little bit and moving it over to the right, just a hair.
Okay, it went to the right?
Yes.
Okay, so it is the dark line that's the existing then?
No,
No,
it exists now.
it's the one with the hash marks
The
inside
hash
it.
marks was existing a year and a half ago.
Right, but the new one, the current one, existing is the dark.
Correct.
Okay, that's what I thought, but I
Including the
couldn't
porch.
remember.
Including the porch. So we are now 6 feet off of Ocean Ave, where we
Right.
were previously only 2.4.
And that's where the porch will be on Ocean Ave, on that
And-
side.
Correct.
Yes.
On Atlantic Street, we were on Atlantic Street, even 0.35 feet into Atlantic Street.
Yes,
I remember
into
that
it,
house.
right, I
Into
see
it.
that,
Yeah.
right.
So we moved it to
Remember,
2.2 feet,
Okay,
so that it opened up the sight line around that corner considerably when it's done. It was a service to the town.
Oh, the sight lines are wonderful, yes.
Yes, it's better.
better, yeah, marginally. Okay, thank you for clarifying that. Mr. Hilliard?
This is where you're gonna move the deck, you're gonna create the deck here,
Mhm.
and what, this is Ocean Street?
Yes. That goes north to south.
Out of curiosity, what's there to view from the deck?
You can still see the ocean. It's,
Yes,
there's a
swivel chair.
landing,
Right,
and you can still see the
just have to
ocean.
look left.
That's fine,
And the sunset.
Sunset's pretty.
they're going for you. Okay. And the house behind you, is that the rear of the house? Or the one right here, right behind you,
This one here. Karen?
with the porches?
Yep, that's, Central Street.
Right. That house abuts your property.
There's a street in between.
Right.
Okay.
Where
Yeah,
that
that's a
pickup,
bad picture.
Okay.
where that pickup truck is, there's a street, Central Ave is in between the pickup truck and that house.
Okay, yeah, I just couldn't figure it out for me. I have no questions, thank you.
Ms. Muller?
I have no questions.
Mr. Hedersted?
How are you planning to get to the deck from the second floor? I don't see a door. You gotta change the window to a door?
Yes.
Okay.
There's no-
My only other concern for you, and it has nothing to do with what you propose. It has everything to do with experience. Decks around salt water with rain is a real issue if you're not very careful as to how it's done, how the flooring is done.
What would you suggest?
Yeah, it's very easy to put in a floor and then put drainage in. It looks like it's gotta handle everything. But when you have, nails, screws, rubber, or whatever else they may use for the deck, for the flooring, it has a real issue with lasting in a salt water atmosphere like we have down here. So a word to the wise on that one. Otherwise, I think it's a great sure, it's a great thing, it meets the Gale case, et cetera. But my only concern for you is, be careful when you have it done.
Ambrose Homes is building it, and done a lot of work down in the campgrounds in the last 5 to 10 years. I did, by the way, I tried to convince Mr. Chesley that you can put a dormer on by right. And I tried to argue that this is the same as putting a dormer on, but he wouldn't buy it. So that's why we're here.
Okay, yes, I think it meets the requirements of 324-54 and the Gale case. The only condition I would see is, again, on the no outside construction, landscaping, demo between those periods. June 30 and Labor Day, because it's impossible down there during the season. Mr. Donahue?
I have no questions.
Mr. Capoli?
No questions.
Ms. Mayhew? Is there anyone in the public, sir, that wants to comment on this case? No. I'll entertain a hearing. No one. I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So move.
Second. All right, public hearing closed. Any further discussion by the board? I'll entertain a motion in the case then.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, the board hereby approves under case 2018-14, a special permit to construct a second-floor deck onto a pre-existing non-conforming single-family dwelling. The application was in pursuant to the Code of Town of Harwich, Section 324-54.
Wait, and 25?
325, Section 54, and Table 2, area regulations set forth in MGL Chapter 40A, Section 6. The property is located at 3 Ocean Ave, map 6B, partial L135, in the RH2 zoning district. The application is approved by the board utilizing and based upon there is no new nonconformity, and that there will be no resulting substantial detriment to the neighborhood. Because of the property's location in a very crowded area, there will be no major external construction during the period 30 June through Labor Day in 2018 and/or 2019. Nor will there be any significant landscaping during this same period. This application is approved and contains the proposed condition plot plan in Harwich by Moran Engineering, dated 11/29/16. And the Ambrose Homes pictorial of the proposed versus of the proposed north, south, east, and west, dated 12/15/17. The photograph of the existing conditions and the prior decision, case number 2017-02, hearing was approved 25 January 2017.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Special permit granted.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Al, appreciate it.
You driving back tonight?
No. Dog in the hotel.
Good luck. I'm gonna come by and wave at you.
Yeah.
Very patient, Ed.
Okay, Mr. Hilliard, if you could read our last case, please.
Case number 2018-15. Edmund J. Doherty and John B. Doherty, trustees of Joan B. Doherty Trust, dated 4/2/09, through their agent, Attorney William Crowe, have applied for special permit or the alternative of variance to convert existing storage space above a garage to a bedroom, thereby creating habitable space within a pre-existing non-conforming structure. The application is pursuant to the code of the town of Harwich, section 325-54, and table 2, area regulations as set forth in Mass General Laws, chapter 48, section 6. Property is located at 2026 Squanton Lane, map 4, parcel 825, in the RH1 zoning district. We have-
Sequatum, Mr. Hilly.
Sorry?
Sequatum Lane.
Yeah,
Sequatum.
that's what I meant to say.
Yeah, okay. There's a squantum in Pleasant
Yeah.
Lake somewhere.
There is correspondence from the health director. I reviewed the application for a special permit from the zoning board of appeal for the project at 26 Sequatton Lane. The septic system is currently designed for 3 bedrooms. If approved, the building plan will either need to demonstrate the deconstruction of 1 bedroom or a disposal system permit with a fully compliant 4-bedroom design must be applied for prior to the issuance of a building permit. Should you require further information, please do not hesitate to contact me.
Mr. Chairman, I'm Attorney William Kroll from Harwich Port, representing Ed Doherty, who's seated with me. He's the trustee with his brother of the Joan B. Doherty Trust, dated April 2, 2009. The owners of the property in question. Mr. Doherty, as an aside, has been in charge of all of the renovations to Route 6, the Mid-Cape Highway. He's the night guy running the operations for the whole thing. So he should be at work right now, but he'd rather be here. Now, what he's seeking to do is very similar to the first petition you heard tonight by Attorney Andrew Singer. It's very similar. To make habitable space over the garage by putting a second floor on that, to add a bedroom. He's also getting rid of a bedroom, Mr. Capoli, on the first floor.
I did read that.
Okay. Because in compliance with applicable law, on the first floor, there will be in place of a bedroom, there is a den, which has a wide enough opening so that it is not considered a bedroom. So that becomes a non-bedroom, and then he creates a new bedroom on the second floor, above the garage, second floor above the garage, to meet Megan Eldridge's requirements as Board of Health Director, that we're not going to be putting in a 4-bedroom septic system. We're currently designed for 3-bedroom septic. We have a 3-bedroom house currently. When we're done, we're gonna have a 3-bedroom house. If the health director disagrees with that, then we'll have to deal with her in front of the Board of Health, as far as the den, but, you know what the requirements are, as long as it's no privacy, and it doesn't afford privacy. If the opening is wide enough, I believe it's 5 feet, then we're okay. And we also, when you enter, the foyer enters right into that proposed den as well, as the dining room. So it's all being reconfigured on the first floor. There will be no changes to the footprint of the house, no changes to the front, side, or rear setbacks, no changes to the site coverage or building coverage. everything's the same, except he has some habitable space above the garage. As a result, it would seem to me it meets the criteria of our bylaw as far as building on the same footprint and increasing the habitable floor area under 325-54A2B, as well as the Gale case, because the structure already, the garage is already 10 feet from the lot line, where it's supposed to now be 20 feet. So he's intensifying an existing nonconformity by putting the habitable space, bedroom, et cetera, above the garage. So I think it meets the criteria of both the Gale case and our bylaw, and it would not constitute a substantial detriment to the neighborhood, to the entire neighborhood, and would not result in any substantial increase in noise, fumes, odors, congestion, or the like, would not be a nuisance to the neighborhood, and we would ask that you grant the special permit this evening.
Mr. Hilliard?
How old is the house? 1981, my parents built it, or had it built.
So from 1981, when it was built, you had a 10-foot side yard, it was allowed, isn't that right?
When they built the house, they didn't need a special permit, they just.
Or a variance?
Or a variance.
So it's non-conforming because of the nature of the change in the zoning, not because you had a variance prior to.
Correct.
One other question. Route 6.
Expect delays.
Expect delays. Expect delays.
Who keeps knocking over those center poles?
The ambulances,
Really?
yeah, because they fly down, people gotta get over, those boxes are a little bit wider than the cab, so they move over a little bit and they, I mean, they're not entirely.
Yeah,
but
okay.
Yeah.
So
I
for the
thought it
record,
was
you're blaming the
kids.
fire department for
Thought it was
that.
kids.
For the record, you're just blaming the fire department for the, I just want to make sure I'm clear.
No,
As a former firefighter, paramedic, I may or, I'm not gonna say anything on camera, I may or may not have
Okay.
hit a couple of those.
All right.
So I can
Yeah.
confirm that.
Good question.
Just wanted to
Thank
be
you.
clear.
Ms. Muller?
I have no question.
Mr. Hedersted?
Now that I know what deconstruct means.
I'm,
Speechless, Mr. Hedersted. That's the
the
first time
existing
that I've run
second,
into
the
that.
existing second floor plan is 2 bedrooms. And however, but the first floor has 1 bedroom. And I'm trying to look at the scale, but maybe I can't do that because of the way these things are. The first floor plan proposed doesn't seem to be the same size.
It says not to scale. on
Yeah,
that.
I'm beginning to see that. The existing bedroom on the existing floor plan for number 1, first floor,
Right.
doesn't match the same proposed den size. I was just trying to get at the fact that the opening, is the opening big enough so that in the existing foyer, you come in, that it goes upstairs to the second floor right there, correct?
Well, there's 2 openings, there's one there and then there's one
There's one
here.
over to the existing garage, right?
No, are we we on the first floor or the second floor?
First floor I am.
You're talking about
so-
stairways, Mr. Hedersted?
That goes up, yeah, stairway
Oh,
goes up.
stairway.
Going up here.
Well,
and
there's
up
2,
there.
we're adding a staircase also to get to that bedroom.
Yeah, I'm just worried
Two
about this, yeah.
openings.
I'm just worried about the opening that says 4666, whatever that is.
4066.
Where is that one?
There's 4666.
It's 4
Four
feet.
triple six, right in front of the proposed den, the opening there.
This one.
I guess what you're saying is, that's gonna be sufficient to call it a den versus,
So there's
Yes.
one
Bedroom.
opening there and there's
There's
And the-
2 openings, and then it opens into the
yeah,
foyer
the
also.
foyer, I see that, the existing foyer. Is that the main entrance to the house?
Well, it's the front door, but however, there's a farmer's porch in between the garage and the house. That's how we enter the garage. The driveway
Oh, I get you. You enter through the garage?
Well, it's a farmer's porch next to the garage.
Oh, says opening?
Right.
It's here.
Whoop, okay, I see it.
And then there's G, that's the proposed new staircase getting up to
Okay.
that.
So in either event, if you came in the existing foyer at the bottom of the plan, or coming in through the garage or through that foyer to the left of the garage, it does expose that particular area, so thus it's considered a den rather than a possible bedroom.
And if you look at the top of the proposed den, there's a big opening there where it says 4666.
Right, I see that.
So it's got two large openings to that den.
Yep, got it.
And we remove the closet.
That's what I meant, and it's by two different foyers, so you're fine.
And he took the closet, he's taken the closet out of the existing bedroom there too, there's no
Yep,
closet.
saw that, yes. So I think you're golden, so I think it meets the Gale case, plus it meets the requirements of only having 3 bedrooms.
You're adding a bath, but you're taking away a bath, right? So
Correct.
you're staying even on baths?
Right.
Okay.
But if I'm not mistaken, the Board of Health counts bedrooms. with
No,
the-
I know that, yes.
Yeah.
No, I understand that. I just was curious.
Yeah.
I do think, though, on this decision, whoever's gonna make the motion, we should make it subject to the Board of Health conditions, because there is an ongoing obligation. You're gonna have to do it anyway. Yeah, I agree with Mr. Hedersted. I think this meets the requirements both under the 325-54A2 and also the Gale case for the issuance of a special permit. Mr. Donahue?
I have no question, just an observation. You're gonna get that fence, gate fixed?
Why, when my dog's running around?
No, your landscaper hadn't finished it
That was
yet.
me.
That was you.
I'm the landscaper.
He is the landscaper.
I fix the irrigation, I fix the roads.
No.
Mr. Capoli?
I really don't have a comment, but I just want, this is divine providence here. They all laughed at me at the first case when I said, those are gonna be used as bedrooms. But you've made such a clear example, such a bright distinction between the first case and this case.
Thank you.
No chance of being a bedroom. They even took the closets out. They didn't keep the closets in and call them, anyway.
Thank you.
Great, good luck.
Thank you.
But again, that's a Board of Health issue, not ours, so.
It is, I was just bringing it up.
What the Board of Health requires you to do, if they think you're using it as a bedroom, they require you to widen the entry.
Yeah.
Take the doors away,
Right.
widen the entry.
Right.
I was using that just to
Right,
say that,
not remove
it's
the
going to
closets,
cause
right.
a detriment to the neighborhood, in the
Right.
first case.
Eliminate the privacy.
Yeah, Ms. Beatty.
I have no questions.
Sorry. Everyone wants to.
Okay, no one is left in the public, so I'll take a motion to close the
Warm
public
down.
hearing.
So moved.
Oh, I'm sorry, second?
Second.
Second?
Wait a minute, there
All
was
in-
three.
all right, I
One
gotta
We're
person
very
raised their
excited.
hand. Me.
Oh, right.
All in favor of closing the public hearing?
Aye.
All right, public hearing is closed. I'll entertain a motion in the case.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, case 2018-15 hereby grants a special permit to Edmund J. Doherty and John B. Doherty, trustees of the Joan B. Doherty Trust, dated 4/2/09, a special permit to convert an existing garage space above a garage to a bedroom, thereby creating a habitable space within a pre-existing non-conforming structure. The application is pursuant to the Code of Town of Harwich, 325-54, and Table 2 area regulation is set forth in MGL Chapter 40A, Section 6. The property is located at 26 Sequatton Lane, Map 7, Partial A25, in the RH1 zoning district. And the board finds that this case meets the requirement of the Gale case, i.e. there is no new nonconformity, and there will be no resulting substantial detriment to the neighborhood. Because of the location of the property, no major external construction during the period 6/30 through Labor Day 2018 and/or 2019, nor shall there be any significant landscaping during this same period. The proposal is based also upon the condition that it has to be reviewed by the Board of Health and approved by them before before they're granted approval of this particular plan or project. And further, the scope of work is defined in the drawing index at this location dated 5/14/18. The proposed first floor plan dated 5/14. Proposed second floor plan dated 5/14/18. Front elevation and rear elevation dated 5/14/18. Rear left elevation and right elevation dated 5/14/18, and existing floor plan dated the same date, i.e. 5/14/18, and existing floor plan also drawn on 5/14/18. And in addition to that, if I can get through this, overview of the existing house, also dated 5/14/18, and the, whatever this is, the proposed plot plan showing the proposed addition dated May 24th, 2018.
Could I have a second, please?
Second.
Any discussion by the board? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Special permit granted.
Thank you very much. Appreciate all your time tonight.
What are you doing on the road?
Resurfacing. If you-
Are you reclaiming it, or are you doing the paving? I thought Lynch was doing the paving.
That's Lynch.
Yeah.
I'm the inspector.
Oh, you are?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, good. Fail him.
Why
Just
do we-
kidding.
why do we-
Compliance
That's
compliance
why I wait, 'cause
officer.
Yeah.
this is his time
Do
to
we,
be
do we
awake.
know, do we know?
No, I don't know. Did you, have you been in Harwich for a while?
Summers since 1963.
Okay, okay. You don't have trucks or anything, do you?
Trucks, no.
You don't, okay.
No.
Okay, just curious.
Yeah, no.
Well,
That's all. You're
Ed
free
has
to-
done a great
that was
job on
official.
the highway, especially the Harwich portion.
We're going west in the fall,
Oh, really?
finished east, now we have to go west.
All the way to, you went to the Orleans Rotary?
Orleans
or-
Rotary,
Yeah,
yeah.
wow.
When are you gonna start the west?
It's kind of like your guys.
Thanks, Shane.
After Labor Day, they put a restriction on it. I think Mr. Hedestep put that on.
Who's gonna pay for the addition?
After
Perfect
Columbus
timing.
Day, more
Right.
like.
I'm gonna have it recorded and just press a button.
Really? Really?
Wouldn't that be a good idea?
Just a canned
And
presentation?
while you're doing it.
Number one, I got a number one on this one, and this one's a number
Do
4.
one from Mr. Ryer for his opinion that it conforms to the Gale case.
Right.
That would save him.
All right, we still have some more business here.
Yeah.
Before we go to a motion for accepting the minutes, could I just,
Oh, I'm sorry to interrupt. Somehow I got on your loop for minutes, so before you say
Oh,
something about me.
did I
in
send you
the-
minutes?
Yes, I saw the minutes, and then I
Okay.
saw Mr. Hedestep's reply, so you might want to take me off of, I don't know how I ended up on.
All right, thank you for that.
Good night, sir.
Good night.
Good night, Bill.
Good night.
I just wanted to explain, the way that these, plans come in and then need to return to the building department to, for building plans after the appeal period is over, includes the fact that every one of these applications gets routed through every department. So the Board of Health would never allow something to move forward if they felt that there were more bedrooms than the septic system allowed. They go in and they make them do the cased openings. It isn't just 5 feet, it depends on the space. So every single question that you have about whether or not there are too many bedrooms, don't think any of that slips by the Board of Health. They review it now before it comes here, they review it after it's been here, because it goes through all of the departments, conservation, engineering, everybody looks at it before it gets to building for approval. So that if there are any worries about whether or not somebody might sneak a bedroom in, we don't have to worry about that here, because that does go,
It's not our problem.
well, it doesn't get approved if
Right,
there's some
but
question. If it looks like a bedroom, they're gonna call it a bedroom, and they're gonna make them change it.
Okay. I still don't think it hurts, though, when there's something like this ongoing to make it a condition of
Yes.
our
Yes.
decision. And I think it just flags it additionally that we're conscious of the input of the Board of Health. And the
I
other
agree.
boards, when they give us an ongoing condition like that. I think it's good practice for us to do that.
Oh, absolutely, to incorporate it, but I just thought that we have sometimes discussions about worrying whether somebody's gonna slide through a bedroom. That doesn't happen.
Okay.
Not that people can't make their porch a bedroom, or their basement a bedroom, or their attic a bedroom, you know, however they do it with,
Right, after the fact, I mean,
Yeah.
to your point, Mike, they can do
Right.
whatever they want after they
Without a
leave here,
permit, is what I'm
but
saying.
they can't sell it that way.
exactly.
So when they get ready to sell it, if they've got an illegal bedroom, it's not gonna be transferable that way.
And
That's-
even some of the advertisements, like I was glad to hear you bring up when
Yes.
things go on the internet now,
Oh,
they do a review of things going on the
do
internet.
they? Good.
And
Good.
so if they say, oh, this is supposed to be 3
Sleeps
bedrooms, and
12,
it says
right.
there are 6 bedrooms, they're gonna take a look.
Good. Okay, it is time for our annual reorganization of the board. I've been chair now for like, I don't know, 2 years, is it, or a year and a half, whatever it's been, I don't know, so.
That's all?
I am more, it seems
Only
like a
a year and
lot
a half,
longer.
2 years?
Seems like a lifetime, so I'm more than happy to have somebody else put themselves in nomination to be chair.
Are you looking for nominations?
Yeah, anybody who wants to.
I would nominate you to be the chair.
That's not what I have in
Second
mind.
motion.
Absolutely,
All in favor,
sorry.
say aye.
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 Congratulations.
All right,
Sorry.
yeah,
Okay.
thank you.
Thank you.
All right, and I will nominate Mr. Hilliard to continue on as
Ah, wait a
clerk.
minute.
Well,
I've
now.
been doing this
Second.
now for
I'll
4
second
months.
that.
Aye.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Done.
Okay, but really, next year, I mean, I'll do it another year, but I'd like somebody else to think about doing it next time around. The only thing that's, I mean, we don't have too many of these burdensome cases, that's kind of a nuisance. The 40B, where you guys were here, that was definitely a lot of angst. But we only get one every 4 years or so, 3, 4 years. So think about it for next time.
I've been out for 2 months. Did Mr. Campbell leave the board?
Yes,
Yes.
his tenure expired and he didn't ask to be renewed.
Okay.
We need a motion for minutes from May 30th.
Yet, does anyone have any comments on the minutes from
No.
the last meeting?
No.
No, I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
So move.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, minutes approved. Any other business by anyone? All right, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn our meeting.
I'll move that.
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting adjourned.